Okay, there we go. Okay, guys, welcome to Coffee. I Need a Refill and Art in the Morning. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Got a few new people this morning, including someone that's awesome. So thanks, Usam, for being here. Nice to have someone from Bali. Yeah. And so I'm calling her awesome. Okay, so anyway, I had a little vote as to what we would work on. So I might work on two things today. But I did color and cut out this fairy out of this book, Just Add Color Fairyland book. And it's a double-sided pages, so if you do want to use both sides, you probably need to make a copy of one if you're going to cut it out and use it. So anyway, in this case, I want this and these on this side of the page, but I'm not making a copy this morning, so I'm not going to color that. So I'm just going to go ahead and color this, cut this out, put it on this page, finish this page, and then I might work on, I also have a drawing started over here, a color pencil drawing. So we'll see how time goes. All right. So I hope everybody's having a good day. Thanks for being here. So because I'm working on a page that it doesn't matter if it syncs through, although I do need to get a piece of cardstock or something here. Let's see. Yeah, I got one here. Something to put behind this, because if I work with some markers and it sinks through, I don't want it to get on anything else. And I'm just kind of piling it up here so that I have a soft thing to work on. So I'm going to color this and these two little fairies here, cut this out, and that'll go on this page. I already did this one out of this book, so I'm going to kind of probably do the same type of colors, kind of teal, a little bit of purple, and the magentas, and then I'll paint in, let me get a page here so you can kind of see where we're going. I'll paint in a story of some sort, like this. There's one there that's done. Here's one that's done. And you can see that these right here, those three giraffes were from a different color book. And I just cut them out, glued them in, and then painted in a scene to go with them. I've had a few questions again on sealing these or fixativing them. I've had some questions on fixativing them. But I don't put anything on my color pencil. Okay, if I'm just doing collage and paint, like in the other Dilutions journal that I'm working in, and those pages I am putting a coat of varnish on. But when I do color pencil or anything that might have a tendency to lift, I don't varnish those, okay? When I do my little art cards, those are just collage and paint, acrylic paint, so it's not going to move if I paint on a varnish. And I guess you could spray some fixative. I just this is my art journal. It's not going to happen. So you can see these are all in different stages of being worked on, and this is what I want to work on today. I've got a couple other ones finished back here, or at least more finished. Let's see, some of this one's done. Let me just do a quick flip to the steampunk one. That's done. I think I got two steampunk ones done in here. So it's just a place to kind of play, and it's a place to use your color book pages. So if you've colored something in your color book, and again, you might want to make a copy. I know some people don't want to tear things out of their color book. Just make a black and white copy of it before you color it. And I would just recommend just thin, like copy paper, printer paper, because then when you glue it in, it's not going to be bumpy, especially if you're going to paint over something to turn it into a story, like I did this one. And there's another steampunk one. Where's the other steampunk one? Where is the other steampunk one? Let me see here. Let me do a quick flip here. Here's the fish. This one. So I still have to do some paint blending on this one, but she's like set to know where this story's going. So, well, I'm glad. And also, awesome. So if you, Miko, if you'll put in your blog link where you list all the different Ustreamers, then Usan can see a lot of the other streamers as well. Miko's got a good list on her blog. It's not a full list of everybody that streams, you know, of course not. But it's a lot of the regulars. So if you want to know other people's times and when they stream, Miko's got an awesome list on her blog, if she's still here. Hey, Lilith. Okay, so back to this one. I'm going to start maybe with a little bit of a marker. And I just use these cheap Crayola bullet tip. Let me get one of the ones I'll probably end up using. These kind, because you can get a thin line, a medium line, and a thick coating. Now they're just water-based. They're not like watercolors that are going to blend. They're not going to do like a Copic does. You'll probably get a little bit of lines and stuff with these, but they're only like $5 for 50 with a coupon. So, and I like them because they're water-based. They don't smell. They're water-based, so they're thin. They're a little bit more translucent-like. And just because it's just a base coat, because I'm going to go over it with color pencil. Okay? Thanks, Migo. Yeah, grab that link there, Usa. I just like saying awesome. Okay, so I think on this one, because she's going to be sitting on this little blue butterfly, I think I'm going to do her pink. Now, because I'm going to cut this out so I can come over here and test my colors to see what colors I want. I don't know if I think I want part that color, a couple of shades of pink. That one's almost run out. Let me get the back up. And then maybe this color. Let's just test these three. Yeah, that one. I'm trying to remember the three markers that I started with on that one. And then the flesh tone, I think that was this one. Okay. So I'll start with these to color her in, and I'll probably make her wings blue and her clothes pink in this case. With zest. No, I don't even know what zest is. With zest? No. I don't put any of the liquid, baby oils, mineral spirits, none of that with my color pencil. I have one of those Prismacolor blending things. I don't know if I could put my hand on it right now. It's mixed in with my pencils. But whoa. Sorry, guys. One of those pencils that have like a little rubber tip that you can blend with. I don't use those either. I just blend with pencil. Just blend with pencils. Lots of layers. Now, that being said, when I'm doing something like a color book page like this, I do not take as much time to do all the blending that I do on a portrait in a color book page. I just don't. You know, this is for my art journal. This is not sold or for anybody else. This is just for me. So I just want to have I'm happy with that much layers and color to cut it out and put it in an art journal. It's not like doing my, let me grab one here. It's not like doing like this. Okay. So this is much more complex than just my color book pages. But you can take as much time as you want, believe me. You can layer this up like no tomorrow, and probably there will not be any tomorrow if you take that much time on every color book page that you want to cut out and put in here. Now, Jess is another one. Jess, you might want to put your link up there. Jess does awesome. She does a mixture of Copics and color pencil. You know, and I'm not saying this, I'm just not that much of a marker gal. you know, but Jess, oh my gosh, Jess is a marker gal. If you want to see some Copic coloring, like to the extreme, check out Jess. Jess, if you want to put your link. Mine is just a flat, I just try to use it pretty much as a flat base. Like for instance, her skin, is this the one I want? Which is the two, lighter of the two. I think it might be the exact, no, it's a little different. Yeah, I need a lighter one. I have a lighter flesh. I think it's this one. No, that's yellower. I'll just start with a base. Well, I'll just use this one. I'll just start with a base. Like, I'm not trying to blend the marker itself. These markers are not made for blending. They're just like a base coat, okay? And this isn't the flesh color I wanted, but I just grabbed it just to give you all an example here. There. Okay. I don't want her face that dark, so I'm just going to go around the edge. So any blending I do is done with color pencil, not with markers. All right. So I don't know why I do this. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, this is just what I do, and then I go back on top of it with color pencil. And again, I'll tell you the tip that I always tell you, and I hope I'm not, tell me if I'm too loud, because the cameras are like right there. So if I sound too loud, let me know and I'll turn my volume down. You have to make sure that's dry. Now, it dries pretty quick, but if you put like a pretty heavy coat of color on there, it does get pretty wet. So you just want to make sure that before you start blending in here with color pencil that this is completely dry. Okay, so you see how I'm not trying to blend anything here with the color, with the marker. I'm just putting a flat coat of pink, because then what I'll do is I do all my blending with the pencils. Okay, and let's see, I think I'll go ahead and do her collar a darker pink, because I'm going to do these flowers a darker pink. And then when it gets all cut out, then I'll blend it into the background with paint. All right, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do all these flowers, that magenta sort of color, kind of like baby flowers of that one. So if y'all have any questions, put them in caps. Okay. I'm just leaving the little centers white. And again, this is all going to get cut out. Some little buds there. So I'm not, having to worry about like getting out of lines a little bit or something like that with the marker, because it's all going to be cut out. Okay. All right, and I'm going to cut these two girls out too. Let me see the background here, because I know where I'm going to put this. So let me just do these couple of little buds here. And then the leaves will be another green. Let's see. What else do I want? I think I'll have her maybe be in blue. So I'll color these little, I know these are probably supposed to be blue bells, but they're going to be pink bells. Here. So this is just a fun way to kind of like relax, and if you just don't feel like drawing, which I always recommend drawing. I mean, personally, I would say try to draw the fairies rather than just coloring them. Try to draw them yourself so that you get practice drawing, but Okay. This is just not light. That's not the color that I used there. I'm not finding that marker. Is this it? Maybe this is it. Maybe. Okay, I'll just go with it. I do want her to show up on the color book page anyway. I mean, on the art journal page. So I'll go ahead and just put a little coat of. Does consider what how John likes anime. Cam did when he was younger. Jess. Okay. All right, let's see. I think I'll get a little bit of an olive green for the branch rather than brown. I hope y'all can see, kind of. Again, you know, I can always move the camera close like I did last Monday. But because I want to do another project after this one, and y'all are saying that it's good and it's close enough that you're able to see it okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and stick with it. Okay, so again, it's just a base coat before I go in there with color pencil. And because I'm going to cut this out, I don't have to really worry so much about going out of lines because I'm going to fussy cut it. To put in the journal. Okay, then I think I want to start with a light green on the leaves so that I can shade it with the pencil. And you can do the whole thing with pencil. You don't have to use markers at all. I mean, to me, I just find it gives it a quick, gives it a quick base coat that I can shade over. All right, let's see now. I think I want their wings to be all light blue. Her left arm. Oh, yeah, thank you. You girls pay attention, I'll tell ya. You girls pay attention. That's great. Thanks, Mitts. Okay, so let's see. Now I want a really light blue just for a base coat. You know, and you can put like, just because I put a light blue over the whole thing or a bigger section, I can still put other shades of blue. I think I'll go with this kind of a gray blue and a light blue. Let's make sure they're working here. And put other colors on top of it. Okay, so I know I want her little dress to be this bluebell color. Kind of and I'll probably put some light green in there too, maybe some turquoise. A darker color, kind of. Because again, remember, I'm going to cut these out and glue them on the journal. Let's see, do I want, maybe I'll put some purple. Okay, then I'll put some purple in her wings, and then this girl's wings will be all blue. And then their hair, I'll have them have yellow hair. Oh, that's so cute. Awesome. That's cute. Okay. So I just want you to kind of see I'm not taking a lot of time for the base coat. Again, Jess, don't email me because she's probably freaking out how quick I'm just slapping this marker down when she uses Copics. Okay, let's see. And then I think I said I wanted pink wings on these girls. Oh, I said purple. Oh, well. I'll put some purple shading on there. Okay, there we go. So I just got to base coat it. All right, so let me move the markers out of the way. And you've got my color pencils all right here in a tray. All right. Got a little sharpener thing right there. All right, sip of coffee. All right. So I will get out. I'm going to try to remember some of the colors that I used here. Raspberry, a hot pink, a flesh color, skin color, like a medium, a light one, and a medium one. Or even a light brown with a soft touch. You can get the shading. What else? A couple of blues. I want the gray blue. Oh, sorry guys, my head's bumping on the thing again. I want a couple of greens for the leaves. One to blend, a darker one, a teal color. Oh, and a couple of gray blue and the teal blue. That's probably enough. Those colors are probably good. All right, so I'm going to sharpen them over here. I got a little tray here to sharpen into. Every time I lean over to sharpen over the trash, I always bump my head on the tripod thing. So, okay. I like my pencils sharp for the most part, because you can get smaller, closer areas, and you can still blend and have soft touch. You just got to have a soft touch with the pencils. Okay, this raspberry must have been one that's been broken on the inside. Yeah, it's not centered. See how it's not centered? Always try to make sure when you buy your individuals, they're centered. See how that one's not? So it'll break easy. Okay. Of course, if you buy a set, you're at the mercy of whatever they throw in that set as far as... Okay, so those are the colors we're going to use. So I'll go ahead and start with... Oh, and white and black. I need black and white. Let's see here. There's a white. Black. Oh, gosh, I keep bumping my hair on the... Okay. All right, so I'm just going to, let's make sure it's dry. If it's not dry, you want to hit it with the heat gun because your color pencil will not blend over wet marker or wet acrylic paint or wet anything. It needs to be dry. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight her little, again, remember, these, this is going to be cut out, painted over. You know, I'm just not, it's not like a portrait, and I'm not treating it like one. I want it to look nice, but I'm not going to get all fussy about it. So it just depends on how much time you want to take, what you're going to use it for. But, personally, I would not want to spend 12 hours on this just to stick it in my art journal. But, it just depends on what you're going to do. I do take a little more time on my Paula Paris color book because that book is going to stay intact. I'm coloring it, the Paris one. Let me grab it here. And I just call it my Paula Paris because she's the one that enabled me to buy the Secret Paris book. And so we did work on, where's the page we worked on? This one. Worked on this one last week. So I did finish up the little bird, her hair, and I like it simple like that. I like the shirt white and just the shadows and all that. But, so anyway, I might spend a little more time on something like this because I do want to complete this whole book and in the book and not cut anything out of it. Although I did cut out two, I did copy and cut out two to put in this book because they kind of reminded me of me. So I did cut this one out of the Paris book. I mean, not literally. I copied it and put it out of the Paris book. I'm not cutting anything out of the Paris book. And then this one at the back page. So these two are from the Paris book. Okay, but other than those two, I probably won't copy and cut out any of it for art journaling because I want to just keep it all in the Paris book. All right, so Jess is probably laughing at me. She's going, and Jess makes awesome cards. See, again, if I was going to make a card where I was going to give it to somebody or sell, I would be taking a lot more time. You know? Know what I mean, Vern? So I'm just doing a little bit of the kind of a sienna shadows here. Barely touching. You got to have a light touch. Light touch with color pencil if you want it to blend. Don't just slap it on there and get it waxy. And when I know I'm kind of going fast, but I still have a light touch. And I'm blending, you know, in layers. So it just depends on what you're going to do with it. You know, again, if you're going to sell, you know, cards or give cards away or sell them or whatever that you're doing your coloring on, you'll probably want to take more time. And when you see Jess's work, you're going to go, oh yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, my scroll. Let me check my chat here. The scroll stopped. Well, Jess, yeah, your cards look awesome. Yeah, my scroll is not locking in, so I have to. Hey, Kathy. Let me see who else. My CB, Julie. I know her last name's not Topaz. My Stacks, Dana. My scroll just didn't lock in. Okay, I hope got it locked in now. Hey, Mary Palm. Anybody else that popped in I might have missed? Hey, Joe. Right now I'm coloring in these little fairies, but depending on how long it takes me to cut these out and work on this double journal page, then I also have a portrait, a sketchy drawing I'm working on. So we'll see how much time all that takes. But again, Jess she does these little, and I don't know what stamps and companies and things that she gets them from all over the place, because Jess is another one of those stamp collectors. I mean, hoarders. I mean, treasurers of stamps. And she does awesome Copic coloring. So these are just those little cheap Crayola markers that you can get on sale with a coupon for $5 or $6. So I'm just kind of right now going all the skin on all of them. Mitz will tell me if I miss a spot. Forgot her arm. Okay, I'm just going to go in here and blend that in with a little lighter. Right now on their skin, I'm only using a sienna, a flesh, and a white. That's all I'm using right now. Just to kind of. It's very tiny, and you can get tiny little details on these color book pages. And if you're just joining us, we're working out of this book here. Just Add Color Fairyland. I think it's $8.99. Well, I think what was the sale price? I forget. But anyway, I don't remember. But it has dazzling patterns, mandalas. Oh, I can't read that one. What does that one say? Optical illusions. Tattoos. I almost got that tattoo one. I went, and then I can't read that one. But anyway, these are $8.99 normal price. And then, of course, you have coupons and, you know, sales and all that. So I'm just going to try to kind of quickly blend in. Did I miss anywhere, Mitz? Dee Dee said a markers could one marker, exactly. Yeah, Copics can run anywhere. You can get them on sale every now and then. But and online, of course, is cheaper online, but they're like 5 to, sometimes depending on what country, maybe even up to $10. I don't know how much you pay for your Copics. Well, I'm sure you know places online, Jess, to get your Copics cheaper than, 8 to $10 each. But yeah. But my forte is color pencil, not the marker. The marker is just, for me, it's just a base coat. Y'all saw I just put a flat coat of the one color. Okay, I think the flesh tones are good. All right, so now I'm going to come in here. I mean, I want to get it done, but I don't want to hurry too much because I do enjoy, for me, it's the process. Okay, so on the branch here, I'm going to go ahead and take kind of the blue-green. It's called, what is this? Peacock blue. It's kind of like, it's not a teal in the sense of like this. You can see the difference between a teal color. This one's called aquamarine, and then there's also, what's this one? That's another aquamarine. Anyway, like a teal color. The peacock blue is really kind of a forest green with a touch of blue. But that'll be a good shading color, so like I did here. You can see the shading that I did here. Oh yeah, and you buy the refills. Yeah, $4.95 for refill. Let me ask you this, Jess. I've always been tempted to buy just the refill. Can you just use the refills as like with the dip pen or something like that? I mean, how's the ink quality just in and of itself with the Copic inks? I want to just buy a color, just a refill, just to kind of see what it's like. But I've never, I've always used calligraphy ink, so I'm not really, hadn't really, but because it has such awesome colors. Okay, and yeah, Jess does say that she lists all the markers that she uses for an image on her blog under every card. Can you post your blog again? I think I saw it scroll by, Jess, but my scroll didn't click in. What's your blog name again? And I'll tell it on the recording here. And Jess does upload some stuff to YouTube. I don't know if she does it as often. She's a busy gal, so I don't know how much she does on YouTube lately. She used to do some streaming, more streaming than I see her do now. And I don't know how often she records. Okay, so there you can see just a kind of a light coat of the darker peacock blue. The ink is amazing, but it's alcohol. That's true. It wouldn't work it evaporates so fast. Good point. Yeah. So I'm going to put that there, but I'm also going to go over here on this green. Down here on the green with the same color, and it's going to look different over the green, okay? It's going to turn into an olive color when I go over this. So this marker color was just like an olive green. But look how when I go over it with the same peacock blue, it turns it into a dark olive. Look at it when I go over it with the blue. See how it looks like two different colors? That looks more like a true blue. This makes it look like an olive green. You see how that works? So depending on the base coat, it's going to be it will depend on what you get. I mean, I always tell people that you can't over practice your shading, your blending, and your swatching. So let me go ahead and do that real quick with those two. Where's the markers? Hang on, let me grab those. I think these are the two colors that I used. What color? Yeah, the marker colors, they don't have names on them. You just got to kind of go with the lids, and that's why you see me testing them over here. I'm going to cut these out, so I'm just using the sides here for test. So I can't tell you the names of the colors because they're just those cheap Crayola kids. The Supra tip, like a bullet tip. Did I miss your blog again, Jess? I missed your blog again. Hey, Paula. I missed your blog again, Jess. I'm sorry. All right, so here I want to show you now. I'm going to let that dry for a second before I go over it with color pencil. But I used like a kind of an olive green and a blue. Okay, that's what I used here on the branch. The olive green and a blue, this light blue. Now when this dries, I'll show you going over it with this. Just see that, so you can see obviously the difference in the colors when you go over your pencil over different colors of markers. Okay, I'm looking for Jess's blog. Okay, I missed it again. Oh well. Okay, now she had to go do something. All right, maybe she'll come back and let me know. All right, so let me just get back in here on the branch. And then I'm also going to do it on these leaves up here. These branches, they're just the swipe of just the marker on those little twigs is going to be good enough when I cut this out for the, fussy cut that out. I don't really need to do too much blending on those little branches much. I could sharpen it if I missed a little bit with the marker, but I'm going to fussy cut it out, okay? But on the leaves here, so I'm going to go ahead and use, let me hold this up a little just so you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and use, see how I'm going in there on the veins, and I'll just kind of shade it out just a little bit, not crazy shading, because it's just going to go in my journal. It's just a little color book page. I'm not trying to do a portrait here, but you can kind of see how I'm going over those leaves with just a little bit of shadow in there. Then I can go back and blend with the lighter color and just blend it out. I'm going to go back and, accent the veins a little more if I want. Just depends on how well you're going to really see that in an art journal. Again, I'm not going to spend hours and days and weeks on just a little color book page that I'm going to stick in a journal. Otherwise, we would never get past one page. Or not, I'll say we. Okay, it's jessiebanks.com. Okay, JESSIE banks.com. All one word. Thanks, Jess. Thank you. Okay. She had to go run get her son off to school. All right, so again, I'm just going to do a little bit of the shading with the peacock blue. And again, it looks green because I'm going over green, which I'm going to show you over here in just a minute. I'll put another color of green down too. I'll do 3 shades so you can see difference. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that. And then I'll go back over it with the lighter green. That's pretty much the same color as the marker, but I'm just blending it in now. I'm blending in the color with the, okay, and then I can go back. Again, it's best to do lots of light coats. Once you start getting it all waxy, it won't blend. You'll be coating. You'll be putting a coat of color over wax. It won't be blending, it'll just be covering. So in other words, rather than, let's see if I can give you an example. Rather than having colors blend by putting lots of layers and light coats and going back and forth and blending, okay, and getting different shades and tones of whatever skin or whatever you're working on, rather than getting all different kinds of layers and stuff like that, if it starts getting, oh, let me go real hard right there. If I get a waxy buildup, okay, if I get a waxy buildup right there, the only thing that can be done is to go over it with another hard coat of waxy buildup, but there's no blending. It's just covering. Well, I can't really zoom, Carrie. I could take the camera off like I suggested earlier and do that. Or I could just keep holding it up. Or take the camera off. And put the camera, facing here. I just didn't think this was going to take you much time. Okay, let me get the light green here to show you here too, so that I can have these 3 colors. Now I'll have to let that dry a second. But what I'm going to do, where these 3 colors are, I'm going to take that same pencil and go over all 3 so you can see how it looks different depending on the three. Okay, but anyway. All right, so now I'm going to go in here with a little bit of white and give a little bit of highlight on this major wing here, where it's going to show the most obvious. Okay, just a little bit of highlight, and then I can go back in there with the light blue or the kind of a gray blue here, kind of blend it in. And again, I'm going to be fussy cutting it out, so I don't care if it goes off the edge or whatever. You know. It just depends on what you're working on, how much time you want to take to do it. Okay, these little flowers, where that was just a base coat of a magenta marker. Hey, Guy. I'm going to go in here and kind of do a little bit of shading, or shading around some of these areas. And then I'll go back in there and kind of maybe blend it out with a little bit of white. I mean, you can take your time, and you can put 5 layers on every little thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying don't take your time to color well. I'm just saying it just depends on how much time you have, what you're working on, if you're really practicing your shading, or if you just want to color it quick and throw it in your art journal. You know, it all depends on all that. You know, how much time you take. Okay, so you can see that little bit of dark. I guess I just don't really stress about it, because again, I'm one to enjoy the process. I like to, you know, not stress about it. Otherwise, it's not fun. If it's not fun, I'm not going to enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it well. All right, so, and I can do it a little faster because I've done so much color blending before. And you might want to take more time if you're just picked up your first set of color pencils. But I'm just a little bit on her collar there, because her collar looks like it's made from those flowers. Okay. And maybe just a little bit of a golden color shadow in her hair around the flower. And again, just maybe a little bit on these little fairies here. You're not going to see it very much. If I was going to cut this little fairy out and put her on a card, I'd probably be doing much more intricate work in her hair rather than just putting a little bit of shadow on her hair. I'd probably be, you know, really concentrate on getting all the little hairs a little better and all that. If I was going to cut it out and put it on a card or something more special. Hey, Ella. Okay, so maybe I'll just take a little bit, and I think I'll just pull in some, I'll just go in the center of these flowers with the white and pull in a little bit of the magenta pencil and pull it in. But the other tip I always tell y'all, other than make sure whatever underpainting you have or undercoat is dry, to always make sure and clean your pencil. See how it's got the magenta on there? Let's go over here and you'd probably be able to see. Look at all that color that's on that white pencil. You don't want to get all that on a portrait. So you want to make sure you clean the whites or any light color, really, you know, any color that you don't want to cross over. All right, so I think I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow in the dress here, which again, to me, looks like the leaves and the petals of the flower. And fairies are supposed to blend into their background because they got to stay hidden. So just do a little bit of shadow there where she's sitting on the, in there. Okay, so just put a little bit of shading there. And I think I'll go in there maybe with the little flesh color, kind of blend it in. And I want it to stay kind of that pink color. I'll just blend it a little bit here. Highlight, going with a little pink. So I'm trying to keep it to probably, I'd say, like maybe 3 colors on each section, a light, medium, and a dark. And then you can always go in there with even darker, like, let me show you an area here in just a minute, to really give it some dramatic shadows. Like, all right, let me get a black. I'll go real dramatic here. Okay, so you can see, like, between her collar and her little dress there, I'm barely putting any black. You can barely see what little black I'm putting under there, under the shadow of her collar right there. But then when I take the magenta and then start shading that, going over the black and pulling it down, it's going to start blending it down, and it'll look less like a line of black, and it'll start looking more like the under, like a shadow under there. And then take the pink and blend that in. So, you know, the more time you take, the more blended it's going to be. You know, you want to put a little layer of pink over some of that flower too. But all these little folds, you can really get in there. Like, let me take a brown. Oh, sorry guys. Brown or gray. This is why I try to keep them bundled so you don't have to rummage. So it's best to keep your colors bundled like this so you don't have to rummage. So let me just go over here for a brown. But you can get in there and really get some nice shadows under there. See, right in there, under there. I'm holding it up in the air. Like right behind this little flower here, maybe right there, right in there. So you can do that with a brown, and then go back in with your pinks and magentas, and I hope you could see that. I think next time I do color, I will put the camera right there like I did Monday at the end of the Monday show. But because I was going to do the art journal and everything else, I thought I would just kind of just get close in here. All right, so I'm kind of liking that for now. I think that's good. Maybe just a little bit of highlight of some light green on that branch. All right. Oh, I did want to do a little bit more. Oh, back to this. Okay, so I'm just going to put a coat. You may not be able to tell because they're all so close. All right, let me see if I cover it up. I don't know if you'll be able to tell the different ways the color looks. Look. Can you tell the... See how that almost looks like a dark green on there? But on this one it looks like blue. And then that one it looks more like the blue-green that it truly is. It's hard to see when they're all together, but when I cover one up, look. Then I'll cover this one up. See how it looks like a totally different color? So this is the kind of thing that's really good to practice, seeing what, and again, because they're right next to each other, let me try to do this again. Let me get a spot down here, because I want you to really be able to tell. When they're right up next to each other, it's kind of hard to tell. Then, where's the olive green? Okay, I'll let that dry for a second. Thanks, McLinda. All right, let's see what else I need to do. Oh, I want to go up in here and shade her little blue bonnet, or blue little, don't know the name of the flower there. Not a blue bonnet, bluebell, like a little bluebell dress. I'll just do a little bit of shadows there. But we're going to cut this out and put it in. See, here's this is from this book too. And I'll just go in there and blend it with a little bit of white. So if you have any questions or anything, or comments, or just put them in caps. So, a little bit of shadow on our little bodice there. Same for this one. Did I miss anywhere, Mitts? Okay, then back to a little bit of magenta in her wings. So you don't see a lot of it. You just, I'm gonna give essence of shadows there, because I'm going to cut it out and glue it in the art journal. Okay, a little bit of shadow on the flower buds. And a little bit of white on the buds too, maybe just a little bit. Here and there. Okay, clean that off. A little bit of okay. Thanks, Cass. More links for color book pages. All right, so now I'm going to take the peacock blue, and again, I'm just going to go like right over the whole thing, but I want you to see each one again. All right, so there it looks like peacock blue on the lime green. All right, look how it looks blue on that one. And it looks olive on that one. So depending on what's underneath, what marker color is underneath, will depend on what color it looks like. See? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to go get me some coffee too after, well, maybe before I start fussy cutting. So, let me get a little bit of me there. So I'm just kind of looking it over, seeing if there's any bits that I really want to kind of blend out, or a little bit more on this wing. Okay, I'm just looking it over and see if there's anything else I want to add. Alright, so let me go run down. I think I have to make coffee actually. It'll only take me a second. And I know if you're watching the recording on Ustream, I don't think you can scrub forward. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can. So give me about 1 minute, guys, to go get me some, at least probably have to start some coffee. And then we'll come back and cut this out and glue it on here. Okay. Alright, so I'll be right back, guys. 1 minute. Okay, maybe another pot of coffee. I'll have to run down there and get it when it finishes after I fussy cut. Alright. So, any questions? Hey, Paula. Hope you're feeling better. Did you get to watch Survivor last night? Alright, so now I want these two separate and her separate. So what I'm going to do first, just kind of cut them out. Just kind of, and I might use those on something else. I don't know. I'll keep them just in case. So I'll just kind of cut around them and put them in the back of the book. In case I want them for something later. I keep little bits in here. I've got some of these stained glass things cut out to color. I got some, just some different bits back there to add to any pages. All right, so now, let's start with her. Oh, okay, so you watched it on, yeah, so you weren't there to watch it with us live. All right, so I can cut pretty quick. Always turn your image that you're cutting, turn the image that you're cutting rather than your scissors. You'll get a cleaner, more accurate cut. And then I just, when I get to when I have a lot hanging there, then I just like whack that off and keep going. And I'll show you a trick for cutting on the inside of things without getting out an X-Acto knife. If you're going to glue it down on something, like I'm going to do. You could get out an X-Acto knife, don't get me wrong, but I don't take the time to do that when I don't have to. So see how I'm hardly moving my scissors? I'm just doing it all with the twisting like this. And you can get right up on the edges that way. And you're just constantly just going like this with the scissors. Just kind of closing them real slow while you're turning. Cut off that bit. Where's my mom? She loves cutting out paper dolls. She always did. She always loved cutting out paper dolls. Then I got her into scrapbook. Well, she always did the paper doll thing when we were kids. But then I got her into scrapbooking later in her life, and now she's into color books. I told Mom, and I said this on the last stream, I told her that when she comes for Christmas, that we'll just go color book shopping for each other for Christmas presents. Hey, Carol, anybody else popping in? Yeah, so Mom and I'll just go color book shopping. She got she called me up from Barnes & Noble a couple weeks ago. What was the name of that one that it's like the magazine? And I went, Daphne's Diary? Yeah! So she got her the Daphne's Diary color book because I had that one and she really liked it. She saw it on my stream, so she went and got that one. So let me just finish up here. Alright. So if you need to get into an area that's like that or like that, okay, depending on where it is and depending on how big the area is and all that, I just cut into it and then, cut out the middle And then when you glue it down, you're not going to be able to see where you cut into an arm. Now, I don't mean cut across the arm like there. I mean cut on a seam. Cut on a seam, like for instance here. Right there on that leg. I don't mean cut into the leg, but follow an edge. Like I'm going to just cut right along the dress edge there. Okay. And then go carefully snip in that little area. Okay, and cut that out. Rather than get out an X-Acto knife to get in there. Okay, so you see where I cut that to get in there? But when I glue it all back down, you're not going to be able to tell I cut that. You see? Know what I mean, Vern? You won't see where it's cut when it's all glued back down. Snip that little bit off. Come at it from this angle. So I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. And moving the paper. Okay? If you want a clean cut for little details like this, just getting in there, right on that last little petal. Okay, same thing for right in there. And if you're just gluing this down on a white piece of paper, then you don't, it probably won't matter as much if you get those little white areas out. But if, like I'm gluing this down on an inked page, if you don't get those little areas out, it looks, you can see them. All right, let me get that last little bit. Let's see. Like for instance here, I cut out behind that little bit in there. If I didn't cut that out, it'd just be a white spot right there. And you'd really see it. You know, you could try to color it in and blend it. If it's just a tiny, tiny little thing, like, I don't know, like let's just say a little dot of blue, you could try to, match it up and color it in. But, when you start getting a background where you want it to look like the background's flowing behind her, you don't want a white spot right there. All right, so again, same thing for right here. I'm not going to cut like right across her wrist right there. I'm going to come up here and go along a line. I'm going to go right along a line, one of the black lines, and go into that white spot right there. And cut that out real carefully. You got to be careful here. And cut that little white piece out. Okay. So if it looks like you've cut her arm, but it'll when you glue it back down, now you've got that area cut out. So let's just go over here and look at that. I try to give you tips. Now, I kind of want her somehow sitting on this butterfly, like she's almost like floating on the butterfly wings. Something like that. Or maybe down here. I don't want to cover up the butterfly that you can't see it anymore. It does kind of fit right there, especially if I'm going to have floaty ones. But I love the idea. I like the idea of her sitting up here. But balance-wise, it might look better right there, especially if I have other ones up there. I don't know. I like her right there. Because then these pink flowers almost look like they're coming from there. I think I might go with that. Let's just see what I can do with these two. Hey, Colleen. Thanks, guys. Now, again, I don't know how long I want to take to fussy cut these other ones out. You know what I think I'm going to do? I am not going to fussy cut them out. It's going to take me like 5-10 minutes for each one. I'm just going to kind of place them where we can kind of do it. I just don't want to take all that time, but it's totally up to you guys. But I'm thinking one can kind of be up in there, and I kind of want another one. I don't know if it needs two. Might only need one. If she's here and that one's there, I don't know that it needs two. What do y'all think? I really like her on the wing. I'm going to paint all on here, so some of it's going to get gone anyway. But I don't know if we need two. All right, so I'm going to have to fussy cut out one. If I put her on top of that. If I put her on top of that stencil there. I'll try to be quick, guys. Y'all think about where you think it should go. It won't take me too long, but it is tinier, so I got to be a little bit more. A little slower. I stopped to look at chat. Again, don't do this. You'll be chopping into your piece. Don't do that. You do this. And just move the paper while you're slowly closing the scissors. Okay, you're just closing the scissors. You're not chopping. Just closing. Keep just, moving up the scissors, just closing the scissors. That's all you're doing. And again, y'all probably all know this, so don't. You're telling us how to cut? It was so funny. I'll tell this story again. When Boo started like pre-K, when she went to school, my granddaughter, who's now in 7th grade, when she started pre-K, she'd always hung out with me and done crafts, and like Cam did, Of course, he's going to be 16 now. I cannot even believe that. Anyway, she'd hang out with me and craft, and they were allowed to use anything in my craft room. Am I under the camera? They were allowed to use anything in my craft room but the guillotine cutter. That's the only thing they were not allowed to use without my supervision. They could use everything else, the scissors, anything. So anyway, I got some little tiny little branches there. I'm concentrating a little more. When she started pre-K and then got her school supplies, to go to get her school supply list and go get her school supplies, and we got her some scissors and glue and all that. And what they did in pre-K is they turned in their supplies to the teacher, and the teacher kind of kept them all and then doled them out as they needed them so the kids wouldn't lose them and, be gluing each other's hair, stuff like that. So you just kind of turned in your supplies to the teacher, and then the teacher doled it out when you needed it. Well, the first time Boo was ever handed a pair of rounded off kid scissors, she looked at them like, what are these? And then when they handed her some Elmer's, she asked the teacher, where's the Eileen's tacky? She's used to using this. Not Elmer's school glue, So it was really cute because they grew up using real supplies, Anyway, I just never forget that. Where's the Eileen's tacky? Don't get discouraged. I see the word discouraged. No, 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 no. It's practice. You're awesome. Just practice. Okay. Now, here's something that I do on butterfly antenna, ladybug antenna, or little things like this. See those little stamens coming out of the, I cut those off and then I draw them in myself. I won't, that's just me. I'll just go redraw butterfly. Like for instance here, if I wanted some butterfly antenna, I'll just draw them with a pen. Okay, it's just, to me, it looks more real. It blends better than trying to cut around lines. If it's just a line, I will just redraw it. Because it doesn't look like, it won't look the same as it does on the color book page. If you try to cut around it, you'll have a white line around the black line, which, it may not bother you, but all right, here we go. We're almost done. All righty, let's see here. Okay, so again, inside there, this one you could probably just color in some background, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it just so you can see. I'll go in there and I'll follow one of the black lines to get in that little spot to cut it out. Okay, something that small you could probably color in from the background and not notice that, but on something this big, I'm going to want to cut in there. Now, I'll tell you, remember Sherry's cards that we showed a couple weeks ago, which I've sent out tons of those cards, by the way. She did this. She fussy cut like this a lot of her little stamped Prima girls. I should go get you one to show you. Okay, I want to cut, there we go. All right, so there you go. I missed a little spot right there. I need to get it right back up in there. And if you cut off a flower or something, you just, especially if you're just going to glue it in a journal page, just glue it, you can just glue it back. Let's see that little bit there. There we go. Okay. Okay, let me check. Yeah. No, you can do it. You can get it. Oh, you mean to draw the lines? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like the little stamens there. Yeah, when I glue that on, I'll just go in there with a black Pitt waterproof pen and draw the little stamens. Or when I glue her down, when I glue her down, I don't even know if she did or not, if there was any butterfly antenna. No, because these are her wings. They weren't an actual butterfly. It's her wings. So anyway, yeah, just do that. Just draw them in there instead of like trying to cut around that little bit right there. I'll just draw some little stamens. All right, so let me clean all this up here. We'll glue this down. All right, so different things about gluing too. When I do, like, let me find a collage page. Okay. So this was the Smack and Dragon journal, like the big moly one that we did. And what that entails is spritzing down inks, and in this case I used dilutions, spritzing down some inks on a non-porous craft mat or whatever piece of plastic, spraying some water, turning your journal over and smacking it and dragging it, or your art cards, or your piece of paper, or your cardstock, whatever. It's all the same. You smack and drag it. So that was the first process. Then I used stencils. You can see some stencil here, some stencil there. And with the same dilutions, I used the same colors of dilutions throughout the whole book. I'd spray some stencils. And then, of course, a lot of that dilutions ink, you don't want to waste it. So it's still on the stencil. So you can either put it on the next page or another page or whatever left over on the stencil. Okay? So that was the second layer. And I do all my art cards the same with the collage part. Okay, well, I don't want to mix up the two. All right, so that is a water-based, it'll move with water. However, I have found that in the Dilutions book, because I don't gesso anything, especially in this Dilution kind of thicker paper, when I would spray the inks or smack and drag or stencil and spray with the inks, the Dilutions inks, it doesn't really move a lot. It sinks in a lot. It sinks in so much. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't move at all. Like if I took a wet brush, I'm sure I could start to get this to move. Okay? If I worked at it. But because it's sunk in really well, it doesn't move as much as you might think it does. All right. Hey, Vicki. Vicki. So it doesn't move as much. All right. Then I got different pieces of collage stuff, like magazine or calendars or bits of birds. Here's a watch bit for jewelry, like around the bird. Here's another watch part. That is all glued down with golden matte medium. And this didn't move as much as you would think with the liquid golden matte medium because it sunk so far into the journal. But it's got a coat. It is coated with matte medium. All right. Then to add the color book pages, though, whether you glue them down without coloring them first, or if you're doing like we are right now and coloring them first and then gluing them down, for that I'm using just the tacky glue. All right. Oh, I'm kind of liking her right there with those butterfly wings kind of peeking out. I might just put her there and just kind of make sure I don't paint over that. That just looks good there. I don't know. I kind of like her there. I like her on the wing too, but she looks more correct. Right? I think I'm going to put her there. And then I'll put this girl maybe right up here. So anyway, but I do not put matte medium or anything on top of, well, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to put some paint. I'm not going to put matte medium over, glue this down with matte medium. I don't want to mess up the pencil. It's pretty permanent, but it can move some. You can, depending, I just don't do it that way. Okay, I will be putting some paint. All right, wait, before I glue that down, let me give another example. I'll be putting down some paint over, where's one of, oh, I know. Let me go over to the giraffes. That's a good one. Okay, so these are color pencil glued down with the Eileen's Tacky, and I did go over it with some white paint to make the water. It's not going to really, it's not going to move like it would be if it was watercolor. Okay, but that's my point here, is this is all just color pencil. It's fine to go over it with just a kind of a dry brush of acrylic paint, but on these girls here, especially her, this big area of marker, underpainted marker, if I start doing a lot of painting over this, it's going to smear because of the water-based marker. Okay, so I'm hoping all that. Let me know if you have any questions. I know I do over-explain, but sometimes I think I leave things out. So if I left something out of that, let me know. When I don't have any color pencil or marker images that are glued down, I can just slap that paint all over the place. And sometimes I still do and not really worry about it, like my art cards, or varnish my art cards. Okay, I don't have any problem varnishing it. But if I put varnish on this where there's marker, that marker will move. Like for instance in her arm here. If there's, unless I've heavily covered it up with pencil, that marker is going to smear when I start putting matte medium on it. Unless you sprayed it with a fixative, which I just do not like to use fixatives. I have to take it outside, go outside, let it dry. Yeah. I'm not a fixative gal. Now, I will do the fixative on graphite drawings that I want to rework over, like in the big book of animals, my animal sketches, the big book of animal sketches that I'll use for posters. I did spray those because the graphite was heavy. Now, again, the graphite was really heavy because I was doing it on Ustream for you guys to see the animals. If I'm just drawing and sketching for myself, I don't go near as heavy on the graphite because I can see it. But on camera, you don't see it. So I do a little heavier applications of graphite and some other things just so you guys can see it on camera. Yeah, so it just depends. You know, you just never know what's going to smear with your matte medium. You just need to test it out. And the more you do things, the more you know, like this probably would be fine with matte medium. But this, where there's a lot of marker, that will probably smear. Okay, again, let me give another tip here for when you're gluing, use an old phone book. That's what phone books are for, gluing. Just take a page in your phone book, and this is good for glue sticks or your tacky glue. And if you're going to put these in journals, you want to make sure, okay, where's my little lid? I lost the topper there, so here it is. And also, if you use a bottle of tacky glue and you're done, keep the little lids, because you'll lose these, and if you've got a couple extras, it's nice, okay? And I keep my glue in this old glass jar. I put the lid on, but then I store it face down like that. So the glue's always ready to go. Okay. But you want to make sure, where's my other, here she is. You want to make sure, a couple things. I put a good heavy, kind of really heavy coat, but you want to blend it out with your finger to the edges. Now, some of these are delicate. You want to take your time and be careful not to, like right there, I bent that little stem. But I will take my finger and go off, all the way off the image so that you know that all the edges, try not to move it around so you get glue on the front. But you want to make sure, especially if you're going to glue it down into your journal, that you got it all edged out. And sometimes you'll miss a little bit after you put it in the journal. Then you just go back and like tuck a little bit of glue up under there. But I'm real picky about having no edges curling up. The other thing is you want to smear all your glue out like this so that there's no bumps. If you have that wad of glue right there and you try to glue it on your page and you have not smoothed out the glue, you're going to see the bumps. Especially if you want to go back and color it, you know, after the fact. You want to make sure it's glued down really well. Another tip is if you're gluing things down, and then going back to color them, you want to make sure it's dry. In other words, either hit this with the heat gun or just wait before you color it on, because it's damp. The paper is damp, and if you start trying to shade on damp paper, it's not going to blend and shade as well, and you have the risk of like digging into the damp paper. So if you're going to color, glue these down first and then color them. Make sure it's perfectly dry before you start coloring. You know what I mean, Vern? Does that make sense? Okay, and then what you do when you have your phone book, then you just close that phone book and those pages are glued together, so you never have to worry about using that page again. All right, so here we go. So let's put her like right about here. And this tiny thing, I might have missed a little bit of the flowers on the edge, so I got a little glue on my finger. Then I'm just going to go under there and make sure each one of those little flowers are glued down. I'll get a little bit more glue on my finger, because those little things, I didn't want to push too hard and tear them. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure they're all glued down here. Her little foot. Let's make sure that's, there we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, it is, Dana. I'm not a fixative gal. Like I said, I will if I've done a heavy graphite and I want to work some stuff over it. I will go back and go outside and do it. But I don't even know where my fixative is in here. It's on the shelf somewhere. I just don't use it that often. All right, so I think that's good. So you can kind of see the little scenario there. So again, I just try to, as the tips come to me in my head while I'm doing it, because I've done it all before. I've smeared things. Things didn't blend, didn't work, didn't smeared, and all that. So I just try to tell y'all so you don't do the same mistakes. But you do it once. You take some color pencil over a damp image and you cut into it with your pencil, or it feels bumpy because the glue's not dry underneath. You do it once or twice, you remember. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit for just a second. I'm gonna go run down, get my coffee. I'll just maybe use this on something else later. I'll just tuck it back here in the back. And so there's just different ways you can layer things, and depending on what you use, the steps in between. And I try my best to explain every little bit of it, like keeping a piece of cardstock between your pages when you're drawing and things like that, so you don't dig into them. So I always keep that handy. What else? Okay, so let me go run and get some coffee, and then what we're going to do is try to kind of make a little bit of a story out of this with paint. Okay, so that's my next step on this. And then I think what I will do though is if y'all have time, or if you want me to work on my where's my color pencil drawing I'm working on. If y'all want me to work on a color pencil, let's see here, where is she? Here's my Mistel. If y'all didn't see Mistel completed, there's Mistel completed. So this is the one I'm working on now. I've got it kind of sketched out a little bit, and that's as far as I got on her, so I might work on her, but I'll start a new recording for that. Okay, so Vicki says she's in several coloring book groups on Facebook. And lots of times they're always asking, what do you do with your finished pieces? Yeah, well, you can tell them to cut them out and use them in their art journal. I'm trying to show lots of different ways that we can use these color book pages. Again, if you don't want to cut them out of your book, make a copy, then color them, and then put them in your book. Or like we're going to do either an ATC color book page section swap, or it seems like the ones I've got probably about 10 or 15 responses so far, that if we do a color book something swap, I'm getting about 50-50, maybe a little bit more response on doing a color book page and doing the swap of just one page. And it could be, again, you can copy your color book page and we'll swap it. You don't have to tear your best, Paula Paris book apart, to do a swap. But it's going to have to be fully colored. It's not going to, we won't do copies. We'll do actual color book. So you can do swaps with them, Vicki. Tell them they can do swaps. I don't do anything with them, Ella. Now my art cards that are just paint and collage, I varnish those. But for instance, like if we did an ATC swap, something like this, there's nothing on it. It's going to be just flat color. And again, you can use markers, color pencil, you can use Crayola crayons if you want in your color book. But no, I don't put anything over these. I don't varnish these. If I've done color book, coloring, marker, or color pencil work in my art journal or on an art card, I don't varnish them. Yeah, I don't varnish that. So, yeah, using them in your art journal. All right, let me go and grab a cup of coffee, and then now I'm going to add paint to this and turn it into a story like, like one of these, or where's our giraffes? There's that one. Where's our giraffe? toward the front here. I say ours because when you're here working with me, I consider like we're doing it together. So I call it our giraffes or so again, it's got smack and drag ink in the background. Then we did some stenciling. Then there's some collage elements. Then there's the giraffes that we colored from the different color book. Cut those out, glued them on, and then paint to make the whole thing into a cohesive story. Okay, this one's half done. So, all right, let me go grab some coffee. Okay. So let me sip my coffee for a minute and check chat. Then we'll pour out some paint. Remove all of my pencils and markers. And I have a separate tray. I have a tray of markers and I have a tray of pencils. I'd like to be able to, get right to a supply if I need to. And it's easier when I store things like with like. Okay. So the other thing that I showed earlier, and whoever might not have been here, these are the last two. I did color some butterflies and put them in here. This is my glue book. It's a separate journal. And here's one where I just did some nice coloring. I liked it. I cut her out and glued her in. It's not a story. It's not anything. It's just a coloring. Okay, so here's, this was a book of, let me show you the color book. This one was Japanese kimono designs. And this is it's not a copy, because this particular book, these Creative Havens, are one-sided, so I'll just tear it out, color it, and cut it out. Because I'm not ruining a backside page. So this is from the kimono book. And I got one more in here. This one's from the kimono book. I'll try to get it up here so you can kind of see. It wants to flash out if I get it up much closer. So I just wanted to color and keep it, not necessarily tell a story with it. But I did do one in here where there will be a story with one. I did cut another girl out wearing a kimono, but I don't remember where I glued her in. Let me find. There's the steampunk time travel page. That one's done. Where is she? I think it's more toward the back. Here she is. So can't get too close, it just flashes out. So in this case, I colored her kimono to match this page, as I will with this angel here. Okay, I colored it purposefully to match this page. And sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just already have it something colored and then glue it in to find a home for it. So I'm just showing you, Vicki, if for your color book group or for anybody that's watching, you can use your color book pages in different ways, to tell stories. I mean, we do a lot of art journaling and do all kinds of things. I mean, I do a lot of storytelling with just this. This is a piece of collage right here, this little center of this rose, and this bit right here of this village is collage. All the rest is paint. I just painted it all out to make it look like a whole scene. But, that is a lot more work. And it does take some practice with, blending your colors into your images. You know, it does take practice. I'm not saying it doesn't. Or for instance, this guy, I just hand drew him. This is a collage bit of right here, but everything else I've hand drawn. But you know, I realize not everybody's going to draw like this, but anybody can color. So you can do your color book page. Not that I recommend replacing drawing practice with just coloring, but I know a lot of people are not going to take the time to learn how to draw, you know, this well out of years and years and years of practice, when you could take something like a color book page and put it on and turn it into a story. So it just depends on what you like to do, how much time you have, how much time you want to take, how much practice you want to do, you know, that sort of thing. All right, so let me move some of these journals. Oh, bump my head on there again. Let me move some of these color books and things off my desk, so I have room to get some paint out. Let me move the iPad until I get to the drawing, sketchy draw, because I don't want to get paint on it. I like to kind of clear my area here in between each segment, each process. Thanks, Vicki. Well, I try to, you know, again, I always say, you know, I don't really have any secrets. Ouch. I don't really have any secrets from y'all. I tell you exactly what I'm doing. You know, pretty much if I can remember to tell you, which I usually remember because I like over explain, but I'd rather over explain than not explain. Yes, I use dilution sprays. Let me grab one here off the shelf. Just these dilution sprays. And one of these days I'm going to go and get the new colors. I haven't seen the newer colors, and I say newer, they probably came out 2 years ago. These are probably from 2 to 3 years ago. The first round of colors, that's what I have. I probably have 2 of each, but they're the first 12 colors that came out with dilutions. I don't have the secondary set that they came out with after that. As far as I know, they haven't sold them at Hobby Lobby, and that's where I've got all these. I bought them at Hobby Lobby. They come in a set of 2 for like $9.99 with a 40% off coupon. You can get a set of 2 for $6, which breaks down to $3 each. So it's worth it. They last forever. They last, I'm telling you. You've got to spray the heck out of these to use them up. They go a long, long, long way. And especially if you're spraying them on a craft mat, spritzing them with some water, and then smacking and dragging your piece through the ink, you get a lot of mileage out of these. It's totally worth it to me. And the color, the vibrancy of the colors. No, I got it at Barnes & Noble, Dana. Let me show. Dana's asking about the Daphne's Diary coloring book. No, I think it's only at Barnes & Noble. I think Daphne's Diary just started being sold, the magazine just started being sold at my Books A Million. I did not see the coloring book there. Make sure this is their first coloring book. It's an English publication. The Flow magazine, which also has a color book, is a Dutch magazine, and it's like $22 for their magazine and their color book. Same for Daphne's Diary. I think I took the tag off. I think it's $19. But this one's a British magazine, which their magazine, the Daphne's Diary magazine, it's got like all kinds of gardening, decorating, cooking, beautiful British scenery and gardens and all that. Well, they came out with the coloring book. Here's what I like about the Daphne's Diary coloring book. It's got partial colored and partial blank. For instance, here, there's a good example. Look, they've got it partially colored and partially left. And then there's some that are just like, you know, but here's like a little color flower, you see? I love that, just that whole look of it. Then here's one where they've colored the page and left a blank page. Here's some, cakes and scones and the tea, and see how it's just different. It's just different than just plain coloring books. I wish I could find, let me see if I can find it. My mom did one of these in this book. Let me see if I can find the one Mom did, and I'll show you. She didn't send it to me. She messaged it to me. Let me see here. Just so you can see one that's been done. Well, let's see. Okay, let me see if I can find that particular page. And I'll just kind of flip through. You can see, like, look at those butterflies. So to me, it's totally worth $20, a lot. And the only other one I think I've spent $20 on is the Celtic hardback color book. I think that's the only other one I've spent that much money on, a color book. I'm looking for the page. I'm pretty sure it's in this book. Pretty sure Mom did a page out of here. But I gotta find it. Let me go back this way. Because she has two color, I think she has 3 color books. But we won't like to collect them. Now, nobody's got as many as Colleen, I don't think. Maybe it wasn't this book. Thought for sure it was this one, but maybe not. But anyway, let me show you the one Mom colored. Here's the page Mom colored. Carrie, look, it's got squirrels. So she colored it with color pencil. So there's my Mom's page right there. So cute. I don't remember. Maybe this is in the Flow book. I don't remember which one she said this was out of. But I'm so proud of her. But she did buy this one too. So there you go for the... Yeah, I didn't buy the Flow one. I just didn't. It was, I think it was 22. I think this one was maybe $18.99. I'm not sure. I took the tag off the cover, so I don't remember what it was. But it's close to 20. And it's like an oversized magazine. I mean, it's hard for you to, it's 9 by 12. But I just love this one. To me, this one was worth it. And again, the only other one I've spent that much on is, let me grab it here. The Celtic Art Therapy one, and it's a hardback. Now they have the Art Therapy brand has probably 5 different books maybe, but this one is a hardback, and the pages, I mean, the paper is nice. It is a double-sided. You don't want to use a marker. So if you want to use a marker, you want to make a copy and then color it. But I always have loved Celtic designs since, I'm a calligrapher. So, well, I should say, I'm not a professional calligrapher anymore. But I've loved Celtic knots and Celtic designs since, the 80s when I was a calligrapher. So here's one that I partially colored in. So you can kind of see. And I add my own. Look, I added my own stars. I'll add my own shading. I'll do. But it's you got to do it with just color pencil or dry acrylic. Very, very dry. You don't want, if you start adding too much water, any water, if you start adding water to your acrylic paints as a base, it will warp. It will warp. So you want to be careful if you are going to put any acrylic base. I would not use markers because it'll leak through. But if you're going to use any kind of paint, you want to make sure it is very, very dry. Okay? Yeah, I know. So, Mom, if you're watching this recording, the girl said you did awesome. I know. She did, didn't she? So, this one and this one are the 2 most expensive color books that I have. Okay. All right, so let's get to adding a little paint on this. Let me get a baby wipe. I'm trying not to hit my head on the lowered boomstick there. All right. And excuse the squeaky chair. I say that it's the same old squeaky chair I've had for all these years. I keep saying I'm going to get a new one, but it's comfortable. And if it's a little squeaky, oh well. All right, let me take a sip of coffee. And I'm not sure what I really want to do here. I could add some more collage things. But if I do go back with any kind of collage, like let's say, let me get an example. Let me just grab something here. Let me just grab a folder. If I had anything like, let's say, a watch or a clock, or it could be anything. It could be anything. I mean, I love her. She's just awesome. Not for this, but I don't have a lot of people onto my mixed media collage. But let's see, maybe this one. Just find some different watch bits. Something else, just to have something else to glue on, to maybe make a little bit of more of a world. Because this isn't a lot going on, technically speaking. That's not a lot. Maybe a little bit. Okay, I like a little bit of a building here. Let's just go with these two things. I'm going to just try to make this work. Just this. All right. So what I was going to say is if I'm going to add more collage elements on top of where I've already glued down some things that I don't want to get matte medium on, then I'll just use the Eileen's Tacky on this as well. Because I don't want to get matte medium on top of this. Now, the benefit of using matte medium, not on this, but on any of your collage, the benefit of using a coat of matte medium over your collage is that it wipes away if you get paint on it. You can, in other words, if I just glue this on here with just my Eileen's Tacky, and I get paint on that, if I'm real quick, I can get it off. But if it sits for longer than 10 seconds, it's not going to go back to its original surface if it's not coated with matte medium. And of course, it's going to depend on the piece. If it's a matte magazine page, you'll never get the paint off. But that's how I am able to blend things easily, is because there's matte medium on there. And the matte medium is like the top coat of that you can blend on top of. Now, if you get matte medium on your page, well, it just depends. I don't want to get too more than that. That's already going to start confusing people probably. All right, so let's see here. Do I want some here? Maybe a little bit. Because see, I'm going to add paint on here, guys. So I might put a little bit of watch there. Maybe I want it on both sides. Do I want her sitting on there, or just one's probably enough? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of collaging on top, but I'm just going to use some Eileen's Tacky all the way off to the edge like that so it doesn't buckle up, okay? And I think I'm going to put that right there. But you're going to have to be aware of what mediums you've used, okay? Be aware of what mediums you've got going on, whether it's water soluble, is it going to lift up, and all that. I've just done enough that I'm pretty conscious of everything I've used and where I've used it. But when you're doing mixed media, you've just got to know where you mixed it. Know what I mean, Vern? Otherwise, you're going to be smearing inks over their little faces. You're going to be... All right, so let's see. Do I want any kind of little... I kind of like this. I don't know if I want to add any yellow, though. That's the thing. Do I want to add some yellow in this? Maybe a little, because they do have a little yellow in their hair. Or do I just want some stars over there? Maybe I'll just go with, maybe I'll just do a couple of little planets, or, nah, I'll just leave it like that. Okay. I won't overdo it. because I'm trying to keep it kind of bright. All right. Know what, know what I mean, Jules Verne? Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that, Vicky. I wrote that down to say it because when I do the fantasy ones or the sci-fi ones or anything like that. But speaking of Jules Verne, this one just came to me. Let's see. Where's that little book? Let me see if I can find, not that one. I did a little mini book. Ah, here it is. We did a little flap book here. I gotta remember how it all flapped. This was a little Jules Verne book we did. I can't remember if this was a Tim Holtz book, and I put was it a file folder? I don't even remember what we used. I think it might have been a file folder. And I just put these big brads in it to hold it together. So this one is like flap. This is my like Jules Verne Poe book. So it goes this way, then it goes that way. Then we go this way. Then what opens up on this side? This way. Wait, let me move this so you can see it. It's distracting with the pink under. Let me start over. Okay, so here we go. So we got this, and we got that. And this I can varnish because it's just paint and collage. There's no like color pencil or watercolor or anything that's going to move. Okay. And this one goes this way. I think I finished it. I'm not quite sure if we finished this one or not. That way. Then it comes this way. And then this one flaps down. Like that. And then this. And then that away. Yeah, see, I need stars here, so I know I'm not done with this. This needs stars. That needs a little bit of water right here, so I did not finish this. I need to leave this out and finish this one. And there's this one. And then that flaps down this way. It's kind of like our Jules Verne steampunk. I'm not sure if there's a stream on this one. I mean, YouTube on this one or not. This way. And that way. And that way. And there's the back. So yeah, I really like this one. I don't know why I didn't finish it. We probably just moved on to something else. But I'll keep that out. Okay, so let's get back over here to doing something with this one. So I'm going to look at these colors and see what I'm going to want. I know I'm going to want black and white. And I use all Americana paint, craft paints. And a couple of reasons for that. One is because I love all the colors. This one needs, sorry guys, I keep bumping my head on the stick. I'm going to reach over here and get a pokey tool. If I don't close it well, I gotta, pokey tool it, get the crusty bit out. Okay, got some black and white. You like the folder one? Yeah, I think it was a folder. We cut it down or something. I don't remember. And then, let's see what else. Got my water. Let's see. Let me get what color teal? I think I'll just go with just a plain teal color here. Put a little teal. And I always put out way more paint than I need. That's why you always want a desk journal to scrape off your excess paint, or have a place in your journal where you can scrape off the excess paint. Let's see, what else do I want here? A little bit of pink. And I'm just squeezing out a little bit of colors in my tray here. This is what I use for palettes, coffee lids, you know, folders, coffee lids. Yes, I did cut them out of the new coloring book. I did, CV. Cut them right out. All right, I want a little bit of maybe a couple shades of olive green. Let's go with Hauser medium green. A little bit of olivey colors. That one, and maybe some deep midnight blue will work. Or no, I think I want to look just another green. Let's go with Hauser dark green. Let's go with a couple of greens. And you can mix a lot of these colors yourself. It's just that they're so cheap. You might as well buy tons of colors. You can get them for $1, you know. All right, so I'll start with those. I'm going to need a magenta. What color of magenta do I want? A cranberry wine. That's too purple. Maybe not. Or do I want? I think I'll go with this one. I think I'll go with Napa red. I can mix it with a little pink or white if it's too. I think that's going to be good. All right, so we'll just start with those. Now, I am going to need to go to the edges here, so I'll put in some wax paper. Wax paper, parchment, whatever you got in between the pages so that you're not, and I don't care if it gets ink on the edges. What I care about is I don't want to glue them together. You know, if you go over the edges here and with thick paint like I put on my finger and smear it, you're going to glue your pages together. Can you do a whirl page using all your paint from your oh, you mean yeah, I took them all out. You mean the skins, this bits? I did clean a lot of these out and I kept them. I'll show them to you here in a minute. But I've never really done anything with the acrylic skins other than send a whole bunch to Joycey. I've never really used acrylic skins. But I was getting rid of a lot of these because I just had literally, 5 feet of them when I was cleaning the room. I only need 1 foot tall of coffee lids. So when I threw away a bunch of them, I peeled out a lot of the skins, the acrylic skins. Let me see where I put them. Yeah, here we go. So I'll show you the skins I kept before. Well, all right, I'll show you that in a minute because I've got them all separated with wax paper in between so they don't stick together. I'll show you the skins that I kept. Not that many. Just, but it weighs a ton. It weighs a lot. But I did keep a few. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've just never really used them, to tell you the truth, CB. Let's turn it around this way. No. Just want to make sure that the edges are protected from being glued together. Well, mine are all stuck together too. But I kept them now. All right, here. Hang on, Dana. Like this. Look. Here's the back side that was, it's shiny because that's the part that was on. But look, there you go. There's 2 sections right there. Look, there's right out of the tray. Like this was like here, and I think this was along the edge, something like that. So there we go. I peeled all that out. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but look how cool that is. It's so pretty. Yeah, I only need 1 foot. I'm down to 1 foot tall of these. I was keeping them all. I don't know why I was keeping them all. All I wanted to really do is, I thought this was pretty. I didn't want to throw this away. So I just pulled out some of my favorite ones and ditched all the trays. I get 2 a week of these probably. I don't need that many. So anyway, let me just go ahead and do this now. Rabbit trail. So I just used some parchment paper to kind of separate the layers so they all wouldn't just glue together. You can see I kept a few. I didn't keep them all, guys, because I don't even know what I'm going to do with these. I don't even know what I'm going to do with these ones. So I only kept, what, about 10? Not many. I didn't go crazy. And I just put them all in a plastic bag for now. Because like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Okay. All right, Dana, can we move on now? Denise, well, she did make me get rid of a lot, but I did sneak out some of the skins. And I gotta say, Denise was not here for the full, clean out here. So some of these I had stacks of like under the desk. She probably didn't know they were there, or she would have made me. Glue them all to a canvas, yeah. So anyway, yeah. All right, so let's see what we want to do here. I guess I'll start down here with the ground. I'm going to go in, I'll take a couple of the greens. And I'm just going to start. Now, right in there, in the crevice there, I'll probably want to get in there with, sorry, I keep bumping my head on the stick. I'll probably want to get in there with, let me grab some brushes. You know, when I get in there with, say, some light, let me blend this into a little bit of the same color. To get into the crease there, although when you open and close, open and close, open and close your book, it will kind of end up probably turning white again at some point. All right, but anyway, I'm going to start down here and see where I'm going off the edge. Because I'm going off the edge, and I do want to get a little bit of the greens right there in that little crevice. Because I'm going off the edge is why I put the wax paper there. Okay, I'm going to go around a little foot there. And then I think I'm going to carry this plane over to here. Now I don't want to cover up that whole little bit of scrapbook paper, so that's where I blend it in. Okay. So I'm just kind of, and this has matte medium over it. So if I didn't like it right there, I could wipe it back with the baby wipe. Now, if I get this paint on top of here, there's really not going to be much wiping back. So if I add any water or anything to these fairies, if I put any paint over them, I've got to pretty much decide that that's going to stay. Okay? Because it's not going to wipe back. There's no coating on this except for the pencil. And it's not all pencil. Remember, there's areas that are just marker, which can really, move. Bye, Colleen. Yo, color book queen, you. I tease Colleen. She does have every color book. All right, so I don't want to lose the leaf there. I want it to kind of blend in, but put a little bit of lighter green underneath there so I don't lose that leaf. And these are thick pages, and by the time you get a lot of stuff on them, let me come over here. By the time you get a lot of stuff on them, they're really nice and thick. All right, so we kind of see how that kind of looks like maybe some grass under the leaf there. All right. And I don't know, sometimes I wonder how interesting any of this is to anybody, but it's just like, I just explain out my process. That's how I do it, and, if you're here, you're going to get the explanation. All right, so I kind of want this, I don't want it flat. That's one of the things I like doing with my finger, is I can pick up both colors. I can pick up a couple colors and see how it doesn't look like a flat green. It makes it look more dimensional. And some areas, all right, for instance, here's that scrapbook paper. You can see where it ends right there. Now, that's dry, so I can go back over it with another layer that will blend it. But that's another reason you want to tear your collage elements, if possible. If you know that's where you're going to blend, you want to tear them rather than cut them. Because it's harder to blend those straight cut edges than it is a torn edge. A torn edge is much more easier to blend. Okay? Those little tips, I'm telling you. All right, so we kind of see. See, I'm just kind of flowing it. Thanks, Packer Die. Packer Die, you're an amazing collage artist. You probably do not need much explanation on this stuff. All right, so let's get over here. And I know you said, I did see the pictures. Did you do a video? Do I need to go watch a video of the new file folder? Okay, so here's a little bit of teal in here. And so I'm going to pick up a little teal, not cleaning my finger, but I'm going to get a little bit of that teal color going in there. There's a little bit of pink in there. I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink. Okay, now you got to also realize that when you're mixing odd colors like pink and blue, you can't be doing like blend, 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 because it's going to turn into mud. It's going to turn brown. But if you're using various colors like this, it's drying pretty quick too. So because it's practically drying as you go, you can get another layer of something on it. Okay? But remember, to layer, you want it dry. To blend, you want it wet. Okay? Dry to layer, wet to blend. Oh, thanks, Orla. I didn't get to go. I saw that you streamed Packer Die, but I don't know if you recorded it, but I couldn't make that stream. You had a matte medium mishap. Say that 3 times. No, I did not see the matte medium mishap, unless you got it on a new recording. Because I didn't make your last, I didn't make the last, Ustream. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. That's funny. Okay, so I think I might want a little bit, maybe a little bit more pink over here. Like some flowers. Like, you know, she's holding these flower petals. So, you know, just maybe like an indication that there's some kind of, you know, pinkish, flowery thing going on in the grass there. And if you want to carry it over, sometimes it's really hard to get in those crevices. You got to kind of get in there with a brush. If you want to go in the little bend of your book, you know, kind of get in there with a brush if you have to. But I don't like an obvious like white line there, even though opening and closing the book, you'll probably eventually get a white coarse thing going on there. But I'm going to pick up a little bit more, you know, just have that kind of flow in there to kind of make it look like part of the whole scene. And you know, I do this quite fast while I'm talking to you guys and on here, but you don't have to go that fast. Don't feel like you have to rush and hurry up and get this done when you're doing it in your book. You don't have, you can take your time. Although if you're trying to blend wet paint, you're going to have to go fast enough to grab the wet paint. But you don't have to go quite as, you know, all over the place as I'm doing. You can just do a little section at a time. You know. Yeah, I missed out on that. I missed out on the. I missed that, Vicky. I don't know if I want to say that on stream. What stays in chat, what happens in chat most of the time, we can say it, but you know, once in a while, I don't know. All right, so again, that's kind of looking a little light right in there. So I might just kind of take a little bit and kind of make it look like she's a little bit sitting down there. But because there's matte medium on that piece of scrapbook, I know there's not matte medium on her, but there's on that little bit of scrapbook paper. I can wipe that completely off, see? Because there's matte medium there. Now there's not matte medium on her, so, but I know that. So I'm going to be careful not to slosh that green right over her leg, because I know I can't wipe it away. So you just got to know what you've used in your mixed media before you start just like going crazy. Just don't go cray-cray on us here. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see if she saved that stream or not. Okay. All right, so there we go. Just a little bit there on the bottom. And let me just take this out here so you can see. There you go. Let me take the, okay, so you can kind of see there just like the bottom. Just got a little bit of those 3 colors blended in there. Just for there. Now, here, this little bit of scrapbook paper, here I can do a couple things. I can turn this into part of the landscape behind her. I could just paint it out altogether. Okay? Just because you glued something down doesn't mean if you don't like it, you can't cover it up. Right? If I end up not liking that, I can paint right over it. Now, one consideration here that I'm thinking of, though, is I purposefully glued her to have this stencil-y butterfly showing behind her. So I don't really want to lose that. If I start getting this landscape going this way, I'm going to lose that butterfly stencil kind of glow. It kind of makes her look like that's a light behind her that looks kind of like, you know, either a glow, a shadow. It looks like a part of her, like an aura, okay? Like a butterfly wing aura. And I don't want to lose that. But if I take this hill and I try to make it there, you know, I can try to stop it right there, but then I'm going to lose that aura unless I take some white paint and kind of aura it out, which I might do. But this hill here is just a little too high. So I think what I'm going to want to do is maybe just make it kind of come like maybe like right there. So the first thing I can do is I can do it with my finger or a brush. In this case, I'm going to just take a little bit of the white and the teal, and I'm going to try to kind of get that same kind of color that's going on back there. And I'm going to get rid of, and this takes practice too, taking your acrylic paints and trying to see what to match it visually. That takes practice. But blending it, you can do a little bit more trick with it. If you're blending it, like kind of not true blend, you know what I'm saying? I'm not blending it out into like a solid match. I don't know if that makes sense. It kind of fools the eye when it's not a solid color. But I just want this little mountain to still be behind her and coming a little bit behind here. But I don't want it to interfere with my fairy wing butterfly aura thingy. If that makes sense. And this is what I'm thinking in my head, guys. I'm just talking it out loud. Okay, there's a little bit here that needs a little bit more glue. Let me just get a dab of glue right there on that little edge. That's why I'm so picky about everything being so glued down. Don't like anything coming up. Oh, it does make sense? Okay, good. All right, so real quick, I want to kind of just get all that little crevice of the book, you know, not the spine, the, you know, the middle of the book. I'm just going to kind of get that kind of coated in there. All right, so now I'm kind of wanting a little bit of a brown cut. I don't have any out, so I'm going to just get a little bit of a sienna, or a little bit of raw sienna here. I just need a dab. Oh, crusty bit. Okay, just that much. That's all I need for right now. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that and just kind of make my little hill, little mountain, little crag or whatever, kind of come just, you know, makes these two pages kind of come together. You know what I mean, Vern? Kind of like that. Doesn't have to get a lot of detail. Your eye fills in the blank, although I don't want to, like an eye stopper right there. So I'm going to kind of keep blending right there. See how that kind of looks like a little mountain right there? Now you can either kind of imagine that is coming around back here, which I do want to do. So I'm just going to kind of, comes up next to her body there. And you can go back in there with more detail. I'm just kind of blocking it in. All right, but I think I do want that kind of hill to come back behind her here and kind of blend into this. So I'm going to just kind of imagine where I want it to come. You know, maybe up a little higher. Maybe I want it up here. Now, I don't want to get paint on her skin, because it won't wipe off. So I'm going to kind of fussy paint right along there. Okay, at least till I get to the edge. And then I can pick up these, a black and a brown, kind of make it kind of blend up here. Let's see where I want the mountain to go. Like that maybe. Okay. But again, I'm going to have fussy paint right back in there. Because that's behind her. Okay. Let me just base on, I need a bigger brush. I don't know why I'm using that pointy one. Let's get a flat one here. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of base coat that. Now I'm going to pick up some black, kind of blend in that watch bit. So it almost looks like it's part of the hill, part of the foreground. It's just kind of, but I'm going to be careful right there next to her skin, because it won't wipe off, because there's no matte medium on her. So I'm going to be a little fussy painting right there. Kind of blend it in. Just be very careful if you don't want it on her skin. Kind of like that. Okay. Maybe I want a little bit more brown, a little bit less, kind of like that. Hey Ash, anybody else popping in? I think I said hi to Joe. I went to one party, Ash, yes, was it yesterday? No, it was the day before when you were like at part 4 of your journaling by 5, but I didn't make it to the night version. I mean the night part. Did you finish that? I wanted to see your book finished, your journaling by 5. I wanted to see how it turned out, but I can't make it to night streams very often. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of green just to kind of tie all the green in there. This could actually looking at now, I can see a river. In my mind, I can see a river coming through here. So I might paint a river coming around here, some water. So I might just have some water coming around there. But and not yet. Not yet. I've got to get everything else done first. Okay. So again, that's kind of just flat brown there, but because now it's dried, I can put a layer. So I think I'll just get a little bit of brown and black just to make it a little bit more umber color, and just a little bit of more texture there, just so it's not a flat mountain. Okay. Trying to blend right along there, kind of like that. That's just an indication that it's something back there, but it's not a flat plane. Now you can start out with a flat plane, but don't leave it just a flat. Well, I want to say don't say never. I never want to tell y'all, don't do that, because you find out a lot of stuff by accident when you do the wrong thing. You know, then you find out what works and what doesn't. All right, so I'm just going to kind of let that sit for a minute. I could take a heat gun to it, but we're just going to kind of leave that for a minute. Come back over here, see how I want to do this. So I can either bring this down into this plane, or I could bring it up to that plane, but I'm trying to keep this kind of light and kind of not too, you know, I might have some stars up here in the corner or something, but I really want to keep it bright. So I don't want it to, I don't want to really carry the black up, is what I'm saying. So what I'll probably want to do is carry the blue down to have the kind of sky. Because see, I don't want this right here unless I turn this into a little piece of, it looks like a mushroom. Let's make it a mushroom. Okay, I just saw that. So we're going to turn that little thing into a mushroom. All right, so now it's just choppy, kind of cut out, kind of choppy. So I'm just going to, that brush is really bad. I'm going to kind of just reshape it a little bit. And turn it into a nice round mushroom right there. Right? Yeah. I like that because it's a little fairy world. It's going to be some little mushrooms with the indication of time in them. You read into that what you want. All right, so now I'm going to have to like distinguish this section here to the little mushroom stalk or stem. So I got to decide what color I want that to be. Do I want it to be, I don't really want it green or pink because I want it to be different from this. So let's see, maybe I'll just get a little bit more of the sienna color. We'll start with the base of sienna. We can always go over it. Okay, it's just paint. I missed the part. Did y'all say it was something looked like toadstools? I totally missed that, Vicky. Oh, I must have been like, you know, zoning in on y'all's creativity. You know what I mean? I must be zoning in on y'all's Okay, so now I'm just going to pick up just a tiny bit of this magenta and maybe I just want a little bit of a distinction there between the top of the mushroom and the little stalk, which would be darker under there, but I want to have a little highlight. Right now I'm just kind of blocking it in where I want it to be because I want to put some other color right in here. A light, you know, let me go back to the teal and the white and maybe kind of just lighten up in there in that little area. Then we'll go back with some pink when that dries because I want to layer, I don't want to blend. So I just want that kind of a background right there. So I'll let that sit for just, it doesn't take long. Acrylic paint, y'all know acrylic paint dries really fast. You know, 1 minute and that'll be dry. But if I start putting pink on top of that right now, it's going to blend. And I want to layer. Okay. Okay, I didn't see that, Joe. I didn't see that. Okay, yeah, that it does. I saw it there myself. All right, so I'm just going to and then I'll bring up the little bit of grass back up over the top of that and put some pink flowers in there to make that look all blend, you know, all cohesive. But you got to let things dry if you want to layer. Okay. Now I do want a little bit of distinguished. Let me just kind of fix the toadstool mushroom thing a little bit like that. Okay, so I'm liking that. Again, I'll blend the grass coming up over it, and I'm going to put some pink flowers right in there. Maybe a little bit more around her feet here, maybe a couple more over there. But I'm just going to let it sit for a minute and move on to another area. Take a sip of coffee. All right. So we can kind of see. Okay, I've probably got about 20 minutes to finish this before this 3 hours is up. If y'all still want me to work on, you know, I got her started here. I got her kind of sketched out. If y'all want me to work on her, I'll have to do another part. But y'all let me know. Okay, so let's see here. All right, up in here, I'm going to want this to kind of, okay, there's a little bit that didn't get glued down. Put a little bit of glue right there. A couple of those tiny little stems I missed gluing. Okay, I'm going to want this to be kind of, you know, maybe a little bit, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose that, but I do want her to look like maybe there's some kind of dark green, something around here, kind of just so she's not floating there. She's out here, let me just go with it here. Let's just go for it. She's going to be kind of in some kind of a tree thing here. Oh, wait. I don't want to glue these pages together with paint, so let me put something in there. So I'm just going to kind of... Now, I am going to go over some of those leaves, but I can't wipe it back. So once I've blended this paint into her little leaves and her little hand or whatever, there's no going back. Okay? So, see, I'm starting to blend the drawing into that. You won't be able to wipe that back. Not 100%. I mean, you could probably get a little bit of it, but it's blended. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get some green kind of all in here like that. Now I'm going to take a baby wipe and just kind of blend in some of this green. I want it to kind of fade out. I want you to see a little bit of this pink in there, but I'm going to put, I'll probably put some I'm going to turn this into maybe a stars and some other things. All right, so now I've got a little bit of paint on the baby wipe, and I'm just kind of getting rid of that white edge, but I'm going a little bit over what I've colored, and you'll lose that, which I don't mind that, but just be aware. I don't want to go, you know, paint over this whole thing and all that. You gotta know where you're going with it if you're going over images that I need a clean baby wipe. If you're going to go over things that won't wipe back. Okay, this might be a good place to put some more like leaf stencil. That would be cool. Maybe I'll pull out a little leaf stencil here just to get it a little. Again, I'm not getting it on her face. I'm kind of going around a little bit there. I just kind of want to start getting a little bit of forest look going on there. Okay, and deciding where I want to go with it over on this side. I think over here I want it to stay real light and airy, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink, and this is already starting to kind of crust up. A little bit of white and a little bit of pink, a little more white, and I just want to kind of blend the edge. I just don't want a white sharp edge. I want this to look like it's kind of blended into the, oh, I got a little bit of just a tiny little edge right there. Got to make sure that's glued down. I don't like anything popping up on my art journal pages. Okay. Okay, down here, same thing. See how the blue and the pink are already looking misty right there. And I'm probably going to put some more misty kind of stuff, you know, in a little bit, but not yet. Okay. Again, I want to make sure I don't have a solid white. Let me get that wing to kind of blend in there. I don't want a white core right there. This is going to have some other things over it, so let me just kind of carry this over just a little bit onto this side. Just so I don't have a white thing right down the middle there, you know. All right, let's see what else. Go back with a little bit more pink and white. Maybe get a little bit more flower looking stuff going on in here. Could also, like I said, pick out, you know, and I think I might, just to have something different. You know, get out a leaf stencil and kind of go over that. That might be good. Don't know yet. Now I'm starting to blend and I want to layer. So I'm going to have to let that dry before I can get a crisp color over that. Because right now it's going to just get darker and, you know, muddier and muddier. So I'm going to let that sit, or I'll hit it with the heat gun before I put more pink on there. Because it's not going to layer. It's going to blend. And I want it to layer. I want to keep it. See how sharp and crisp everything is? Okay. All right. So now back over here, right there on this edge. I'm going to go in there. I have to kind of get a crack-a-lack in here. I just don't want a white sharp edge. See, I'm just kind of blending it in. I don't want to get rid of all that ink in that pretty fuzzy area. I don't want to get rid of that, but I don't want a sharp edge right here on the end. Okay. See how it makes it look atmospheric? A little bit more flow right there. Hope y'all can see that. All right. Okay, let's go back down here. Now that's dry. Can get in there with a A little bit of magenta and a little pink. Just get a little bit of some little flowers, something going on in there. A little green. Just kind of blend it in a little bit there. Just don't really know what's going on in there. It's just, you know, a little bit of forest. I'm going to go in here with a little bit lighter green, just to have a little kind of whoosh of grass. Something like that. Speaking of awesome, we did the girl from Bali have to leave. That was nice to meet her. I'm going to just call her Awesome. All right. And then you can always, you know, kind of get in there with your baby wipe and do some blending. But it's not, you're not going to be able to do that, a lot of that over on top of the marker and pencil. Okay. All right. So I might just want a little bit of mist. And maybe a little bit of mist around here. Get to a clean section of my baby wipe. Just kind of blend it in a little misty something going on. Maybe a little bit more over there. A little pink and white misty stuff. And again, once this layer dries, I can go back in here and put more. Kind of a Tim Burton movie? Hell no. The watch on the left looks like a groundhog. This one? Peeking out? Hey girls, I know, you start seeing things, don't you? I mean that in a good way. You start seeing but that's one of the things, you know, people ask me, well, what is it you're trying to see in there? You know, I mean, sometimes it's obvious, you know, you see something like a mushroom or something like that. But some of the things, it's like, what I see and what you see might be two different things, and that's what I like about it. I like not explaining it because I want you to see what you see. And I think that's true with like any art. You're going to see into things what is in you. Anyway, all right. So now, do I want to get a stencil? Do I have time? I'm running kind of close here. Hang on, let me just try to grab something. It doesn't have to be leaves. It can be just a design that's sort of leafage. Let's see what I can pick out real quick. Okay, this might work. Okay, I'm just grabbing this. This little bit of stencil here. That'll work, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up first some dark, let me get I'm almost out of dark green there. Let me go ahead and do a couple layers, a dark and then a lighter green. Maybe a kind of a, I'll just mix up my own teal. All right, let me get a sponge. When I use stencils, now this is already getting a little crusty on these. These are just makeup wedges, so just cut that off. And you've got a nice dry, you know, nice, clean, soft makeup wedge. Don't get this, once you get this wet, your stenciling is doomed. That's why on top of my little water thing here, see I have all these different bits of sponge. So that way if I want to change color, I'll get a dry sponge. Do not use a wet sponge on a stencil. It'll seep right under. Unless you want that seepy look, okay? Right? If you want that seepy look. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and take the dark green here. And I mean, this could be a lot of different things. But for me, right now, we're going to go with leafage. So I'm just picking up, and I'm going to add a little bit of black to that. It may not be quite dark enough. We'll see what happens here. But I just want it to look like tree foliage back there. See? Whoops. Okay. I'll just go back in with a little bit more here and there. Let's see, a little bit of a smaller area. And almost just kind of make that tree kind of come down. Right there on the edge. Okay. Now I'm going to get a little bit of the light green, a lighter green. And I really should wait for this to dry because I don't want this to blend. I want it to layer. But I could probably do a little bit down here. I want it to start to layer and not blend. I don't want to lose all that, in other words. So I'm just going to try to keep bringing that down. Then I can kind of blend that into the blue. See how far I want to go with this tree. You like the project? Thanks, Jeannie. It's a project, that's for sure. All right, so maybe just a tiny bit. I'm just looking at the stencil for the little bit that I want to put here or there. Just to kind of continue it. Maybe a little bit right here might be nice, just to kind of carry that little bit of tree over the edge. I'm looking for a small area there. Just a little bit, just so it kind of, we can do a little bit more with the brush. All right. Now I do want a little bit of, let me let that dry for just a minute, because if I try to put pink while that's wet, it's not going to stay pink. It's going to start turning brown. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a little fairyland. We can put some little moss in there. We can take some of this and kind of blend it in. Well, I got to be careful here when I say that. You can kind of blend a little bit of more foggier looking, you know, mistier kind of thing going on. I'm just using a little bit of paint that's still on the sponge here. Just kind of blending it in. And then, you know, I probably should do this with a kind of a brush, but I kind of want to just kind of pull some of that. Kind of do this kind of gently here. Kind of make it, you know, kind of foggy. I should do that with the brush. Okay. Groundhog on the right. Whippy. Okay, so now, let me just hit it with the heat gun. It only takes a second. It's right here. I'm running out of time. Okay. So now I want to pick up a little bit of the tiny bit of white, a little bit of the pink. And I'm just using the same sponge because I pretty much smacked out all the green. So I just want to get a little bit of pink and white. Now I'm going to use the same stencil, but I'm going to just look at some different smaller areas in here. And I want to just kind of, I want to just add a little bit of almost like, you can almost just get a little bit of the pink flower. Can y'all kind of see that? Oh, that one's a little too stark right there. Get a little bit more pink. I might have to get out some more paint. Can y'all, let me hold it up a little. Can y'all kind of see the layers of, bring some of the pink down. I'm just looking at the stencil and finding areas that might work for what I'm trying to accomplish. I always say, let's see if we can pull it off. And a little bit brighter pink, maybe right up over here. Let's see if I can. Just a hint. It's hard to see. Just a little bit of hint of pink over there. Actually could use a little bit more green. Let me just pick up a tiny bit more. Find a little area right there. It's right along that edge. I think I'm kind of going off. Oops, I think I'm kind of going off the book. All right. Go back a little bit more pink and white, just for a couple of little final little highlight touches. Just a couple little touches here and there. What do y'all think? Does it look like a little fairy forest? Okay, because I'm running out of time, we're going to have to kind of crack a lack here. If y'all, did y'all decide, do y'all want me to come back? Yeah, the stencil, okay, this stencil, got a little story with this stencil. Let me move this out of the way. Hobby Lobby had a sale on airbrush stencils. This was a pack of 3. There's 3 different, it's kind of basically looks all the same, but just different size holes, but it kind of all looked like this. I've used this for clouds, waves, water, trees. You can see all the colors on there. Normally, I think this was, I don't even remember, it was over like 20, 30 bucks normally, because it's an airbrush stencil. So that makes it more, see how the fancy edges and all that? Of course, nowadays we can cut a lot of this on our Cameo. This was way before I got my Cameo. So it was very expensive is what I'm saying for this. Okay. But you can get, you know, there's just all kinds of, and nowadays on your Cameo, let me show it. You can cut all kinds of stuff like this on your Cameo, and it's just, you know, it's like, it's not even plastic. It's more like, I don't know why airbrush stencils are made out of a little something different. I don't know. Maybe it lasts longer. Okay. So anyway, that's what this was. It's a set of 3, and it was in the airbrush. You just go over there and look in the hobby. I don't know about Michael's, but in Hobby Lobby they sell airbrush stencils. But look at the price of them. But if you look at them, you could probably get some ideas to cut your own. Okay, but anyway, you can see this one's a well-loved one. All right, so let me hit the whole thing with the heat gun now. And I did kind of want to mist it a little around the edges. Like, let me get a little bit, well, I might have enough white here. I kind of wanted to do a kind of a misty look. And I kind of wanted, remember I wanted some water coming around there. I wanted like water coming out of, let's see, let me get a skinny brush. There we go. I kind of wanted some water. Oh, I got too much water in that brush. I wanted some water kind of somehow coming up, just very, I got too much water. Hang on, I can't, I know. If I touch that, it's going to go. But I kind of wanted a little bit of a, kind of a stream or something coming around down that mountain there. And maybe there's some water coming over the, maybe this kind of, maybe a little bit of water's pooling up under her leg there. You know, because it's kind of like, and then maybe some is kind of coming over the edge. I don't know if y'all can even see this. Okay, maybe it's kind of pulling and kind of splashing down here. And I'll kind of mist it too, so you don't really have, it's not like they're sitting in a river, but maybe just some little areas of little water puddles, like, you know, maybe there's just a couple of little water puddles right there under that little leaf right in there. Maybe just a little bit, maybe a little bit right there by her foot. Maybe she's putting her toes in the water. Let's put her little toe in some water right there. Kind of take a baby wipe, kind of blend and mist it out, and I want to carry it over right there a little bit. Can you see that? Let me kind of hold it. Okay, and then maybe there's just a tiny, let me just get a little section here of, maybe there's just, let me kind of block it off, maybe there's just a little bit of water splash right in there, blocking it off so it doesn't get on her. You know, just like she's like dipping her toe in the water. And then maybe there's just a couple little areas over here. Might just have a little bit of, or it could even be coming, a little bit might be splashing off of this. Maybe, I actually wanted to put some hands, of the thyme hands coming off this mushroom. I want it to kind of, the hands of thyme coming off of it. So I want to kind of hand draw that in there. So kind of something like that. Maybe her feet are a little bit in there too. Let's just put a little water under her feet. Maybe she just kind of splashed her foot in there. Yeah, it's a little fairy world. Maybe a little bit of kind of something coming up right there. Maybe a little moss growing there. Okay, so I'm going to leave that, and oh, I know what I want. This will work out good, I think. Let me get a little bit of blue and white, and let's do, see how she's holding that little flower right there? We're going to have, I'll have to do it in a couple of stages. Water is going to be coming out of that little bit. Let's see if I can do this straight down. Coming down out of that little blue flower and down. I'll have to do a couple layers to make it look like the water is in front of the sky. Let me go ahead and put a kind of a coat of blue so I can see where I'm going with it here. The water is going to be coming out of that. Splash down on her little wing. We'll have it kind of splash down. Right on her. Let's see here. So maybe you can see where I'm going with this. I don't know, but it's going to take a couple of coats so you can see it over the top of her little outfit. And then right here on her wing, I got to kind of make this, I'm going to pull this off here where it's flowing off of her wing. Down into her, kind of into her lap, but really kind of off of her leg. And it's kind of splashing down here. Kind of like she's giving him some water. It'd be nice if she was holding a little cup or something, or a little flower to catch it. That would be good. Do I have time? Let me see if there's any flowers left on that little bit. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a little bit of, just a little bit of flower here. I'll even make it a little bigger. I'll use a little bit of her dress to make it look like a little bit bigger flower. Like that. Okay, now let me color that real quick. I gotta quick, because I still want to do some, oops, sorry. I still want to do some, what color do I want it? Do I want it pink or do I want it blue? Probably pink will show up better. I'm going to color this real fast, because I want to do some foggy areas. I want to run out of time. Alright, so let me quickly color a little bit of flower, like that. Just a little flower. Okay, let me get some glue. I want her catching. I want her catching that water. And then having it splash out. Okay, that's not going to show very well. You know, it's going to be kind of covered up with the water anyway. Okay. I have time. Yeah, no, I'm trying to finish this up. I want to do, if I do a second recording, Vicki, I want it to be, the other draw. I want to draw. I'm going to work on my sketchy girl. So I don't want to carry this over into a part 2. I want to finish this one. Okay, I'm going to have to hand paint a little hand. Hang on, let's see, I need a peach color here. Some little fingers. I want her kind of holding this. I want her holding this little flower. Okay, I'll have to go back in there with detail because I can't, it has to be layers and it has to dry. But I'll have her little hand holding that little flower there. And then have this, again, I'm going to need a couple of layers. Well, anyway, guys, if this finishes while I'm still working on this, thanks for being here. I'm not leaving. I'm just, the recording might stop, but I want to kind of get a little bit of fog in there for you guys to see. That's all I think I'm going to have time for. Oh, I wanted to do the watch hands. Dang. Okay, let's see if I have time to, let me find it. I'm rushing now, guys. Don't like to rush, but I'm about, it's going to cut me off here any minute. Let's see, that's kind of thick, but I can't find my other one right now. Okay, let me get a nice bead of some black, and then I'll highlight it, but I gotta have, I want some watch hands coming out of this. See which way do I want them to go. I want them to come up this way. Start the second part 2. Well, yeah, I don't want part 2 to be this. I want part 2 to be the other project. That's why I'm trying to hurry up with this. Because I don't want this part to carry over into the other. It's going to be a separate thing. Okay, so now real quick, let me see if I can get a little bit of white here. A tiny bit of teal. You know, all I really want, picked up the teal too much. Hang on, guys. So I'm getting in a hurry. I need a fresh baby wipe. Want to see these over here? Okay. I'm not paying too much attention to checks. I want to fog up the sides here a little bit. I want it to kind of be a little bit, just a little bit of mist, cloud. See? Kind of want it to look a little cloudy, a little misty. I need some more white. So yeah, this one's getting ready to stop. I think I need some pink splatters in there. Do I have time? Do I have time for some pink splatters in my tree? I wanted some kind of, see, I want to bring a little bit of clouds across her. See, I want some little tiny, I want some clouds to come in here. Now remember, you can't wipe that away. I'm coming right over the top of the color pencil. Okay, but I want to get some clouds in here, especially from over on this side. Maybe a little bit coming right across her wing. There. Okay. So all these nice little touches at the end make it nice. But it takes time to do these little touches that I never seem to have time to get in there. Just to have a little bit of clouds, some fog, kind of mist it up a little because it's in the woods, you can't see them. It's really starting to come together now. Yeah, it's starting to come together while I'm running out of time, right? Trying to get in the little crevices there. Oh, okay, so that's it, guys. I will show this in a minute, okay? But I have to stop. It's stopped, okay? Skin. Is this the one I want? Which is the lighter of the two. I think it might be the exact same. No, it's a little different. Yeah, I need a lighter one. I have a lighter flesh. I think it's this one. No, that's yellower. I'll just start with a base. Well, I'll just use this one. I'll just start with a base. Like, I'm not trying to blend the marker itself. These markers are not made for blending. They're just like a base coat, okay? And this isn't the flesh color I wanted, but I just grabbed it just to give you all an example here. There, okay? I don't want her face that dark, so I'm just going to go around the edge. So any blending I do is done with color pencil, not with markers. All right? So I don't know why I do this. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just, this is just what I do, and then I go back on top of it with color pencil. And again, I'll tell you the tip that I always tell you, and I hope I'm not, tell me if I'm too loud, because the cameras are like right there. So if I sound too loud, let me know and I'll turn my volume down. You have to make sure that's dry. Now, it dries pretty quick, but if you put like a pretty heavy coat of color on there, it does get pretty wet. So you just want to make sure that before you start blending in here with color pencil that this is completely dry. Okay, so you see how I'm not trying to blend anything here with the color, with the marker. I'm just putting a flat coat of pink, because then what I'll do is I do all my blending with the pencils. Okay, and let's see, I think I'll go ahead and do her collar a darker pink, because I'm going to do these flowers a darker pink. And then when it gets all cut out, then I'll blend it into the background with paint. All right, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do all these flowers that magenta sort of color, kind of like baby flowers of that one. So if y'all have any questions, put them in caps. Okay. I'm just leaving the little centers white. And again, this is all going to get cut out. Some little buds there. So I'm not, having to worry about like getting out of lines a little bit or something like that with the marker, because it's all going to be cut out. Okay. All right, and I'm going to cut these two girls out too. Let me see the background here, because I know where I'm going to put this. So let me just do these couple of little buds here. And then the leaves will be another green. Let's see. What else do I want? I think I'll have her maybe be in blue. So I'll color these little, I know these are probably supposed to be blue bells, but they're going to be pink bells. Here. So this is just a fun way to kind of like relax and, if you just don't feel like drawing, which I always recommend drawing. I mean, personally, I would say try to draw the fairies rather than just coloring them. Try to draw them yourself so that you get practice drawing, but, Okay. This is just not light. That's not the color that I used there. I'm not finding that marker. Is this it? Maybe this is it. Maybe. Okay, I'll just go with it. I do want her to show up on the color book page, on the art journal page, so I'll go ahead and just put a little coat of... Does anyone have any John Links anime? Cam did when he was younger, Jess. Okay. All right, let's see. I think I'll get a little bit of an olive green for the branch rather than brown. I hope y'all can see, kind of. Again, I can always move the camera close like I did last Monday, but because I want to do another project after this one and y'all are saying that it's good and it's close enough that you're able to see it okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and stick with it. Okay, so again, it's just a base coat before I go in there with color pencil. And because I'm going to cut this out, I don't have to really worry so much about going out of lines because I'm going to fussy cut it. To put in the journal. Okay, then I think I want to start with a light green on the leaves so that I can shade it with the pencil. And you can do the whole thing with pencil. You don't have to use markers at all. I mean, to me, I just find it gives it a quick, gives it a quick base coat that I can shade over. All right, let's see now. I think I want their wings to be all light blue. Her left arm. Oh, yeah, thank you. You girls pay attention, I'll tell ya. You girls pay attention. That's great. Thanks, Mitz. Okay, so let's see. Now I want a really light blue just for a base coat. And you can put like, just because I put a light blue over the whole thing or a bigger section, I can still put other shades of blue I think I'll go with this light, this kind of a gray blue and a light blue. Let's make sure they're working here. And put other colors on top of it. Okay, so I know I want her little dress to be this bluebell color. And I'll probably put some light green in there too, maybe some turquoise. A darker color, kind of. Because again, remember, I'm going to cut these out and glue them on the journal. Let's see, do I want, maybe I'll put some purple. Okay, then I'll put some purple in her wings, and then this girl's wings will be all blue. All right. And then their hair, I'll have them have yellow hair. Oh, that's so cute. Awesome. That's cute. Okay. So I just want you to kind of see I'm not taking a lot of time for the base coat. Again, Jess, don't email me because she's probably freaking out how quick I'm just slapping this marker down when she uses Copics. Okay, let's see. And then I think I said I wanted pink wings on these girls. Oh, I said purple. Oh, well. I'll put some purple shading on there. Okay, there we go. So I just got them base coated. All right, so let me move the markers out of the way. And you've got my color pencils all right here in a tray. All right. Got a little sharpener thing right there. Know where this story's going. So, well, I'm glad. And also, awesome. So if you, Miko, if you'll put in your blog link where you list all the different Ustreamers, then Usam can see a lot of the other streamers as well. Miko's got a good list on her blog. It's not a full list of everybody that streams, you know, of course not. But it's a lot of the regulars. So if you want to know other people's times and when they stream, Miko's got an awesome list on her blog, if she's still here. Hey, Lilith. Okay, so back to this one. I'm going to start maybe with a little bit of a marker. And I just use these cheap Crayola bullet tip. Let me get one of the ones I'll probably end up using. These kind, because you can get a thin line, a medium line, and a thick coating. Now, they're just water-based. They're not like watercolors that are going to blend. They're not going to do like a Copic does. You'll probably get a little bit of lines and stuff with these, but they're only like $5 for 50 with a coupon. So, and I like them because they're water-based. They don't smell. They're water-based, so they're thin. They're a little bit more translucent-like. And just because it's just a base coat, because I'm going to go over it with color pencil. Okay? Thanks, Miko. Yeah, grab that link there, Usa. I just like saying awesome. Okay, so I think on this one, because she's going to be sitting on this little blue butterfly, I think I'm going to do her pink. Now, because I'm going to cut this out so I can come over here and test my colors to see what colors I want. I don't know if I think I want that color, a couple of shades of pink. That one's almost run out. Let me get the back up. And then maybe this color. Let's just test these three. Yeah, that one. I'm trying to remember the three markers that I started with on that one. And then the flesh tone, I think that was this one. Okay. So I'll start with these to color her in, rather than, and I'll probably make her wings blue and her clothes pink in this case. With zest. No, I don't even know what zest is. With zest? No. I don't put any of the liquid, baby oils, mineral spirits, none of that with my color pencil. I have one of those Prismacolor blending things. I don't know if I could put my hand on it right now. It's mixed in with my pencils. But whoa. Sorry, guys. One of those pencils that have like a little rubber tip that you can blend with. I don't use those either. I just blend with pencil. Just blend with pencils. Lots of layers. Now, that being said, when I'm doing something like a color book page like this, I do not take as much time to do all the blending that I do on a portrait in a color book page. I just don't. This is for my art journal. This is not sold or for anybody else. This is just for me. So I just want to have I'm happy with that much layers and color to cut it out and put it in an art journal. It's not like doing my, let me grab one here. It's not like doing like this. Okay. So this is much more complex than just my color book pages. But you can take as much time as you want, believe me. You can layer this up like no tomorrow, and probably there will not be any tomorrow if you take that much time on every color book page that you want to cut out and put in here. Now, Jess is another one. Jess, you might want to put your link up there. Jess does awesome. She does a mixture of Copics and color pencil. And I'm not saying this, I'm just not that much of a marker gal. But Jess, oh my gosh, Jess is a marker gal. If you want to see some Copic coloring, like to the extreme, check out Jess. Jess, if you want to put your link. Mine is just a flat, I just try to use it pretty much as a flat base. Like for instance, hers. Okay, there we go. Okay, guys, welcome to Coffee. I Need a Refill and Art in the Morning. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Got a few new people this morning, including someone that's awesome. So thanks, Usam, for being here. Nice to have someone from Bali. Yeah. And so I'm calling her awesome. Okay, so anyway, I had a little vote as to what we would work on. So I might work on two things today. But I did color and cut out this fairy out of this book, Just Add Color Fairyland book. And it's a double-sided pages, so if you do want to use both sides, you probably need to make a copy of one if you're going to cut it out and use it. So anyway, in this case, I want this and these on this side of the page, but I'm not making a copy this morning, so I'm not going to color that. So I'm just going to go ahead and color this, cut this out, put it on this page, finish this page, and then I might work on, I also have a drawing started over here, a color pencil drawing. So we'll see how time goes. All right. So I hope everybody's having a good day. Thanks for being here. So because I'm working on a page that it doesn't matter if it syncs through, although I do need to get a piece of cardstock or something here. Let's see. Yeah, I got one here. Something to put behind this, because if I work with some markers and it sinks through, I don't want it to get on anything else. And I'm just kind of piling it up here so that I have a soft thing to work on. So I'm going to color this and these two little fairies here, cut this out, and that'll go on this page. I already did this one out of this book, so I'm going to kind of probably do the same type of colors, kind of teal, a little bit of purple, and the magentas, and then I'll paint in, let me get a page here so you can kind of see where we're going. I'll paint in a story of some sort, like this. There's one there that's done. Here's one that's done. And you can see that these right here, those 3 giraffes were from a different color book. And I just cut them out, glued them in, and then painted in a scene to go with them. I've had a few questions again on sealing these or fixativing them. I've had some questions on fixativing them. But I don't put anything on my color pencil. Okay, if I'm just doing collage and paint, like in the other Dilutions journal that I'm working in, and those pages I am putting a coat of varnish on. But when I do color pencil or anything that might have a tendency to lift, I don't varnish those, okay? When I do my little art cards, those are just collage and paint, acrylic paint, so it's not going to move if I paint on a varnish. And, you know, I guess you could spray some fixative. I just, you know, this is my art journal. It's not going to happen. So you can see these are all in different stages of being worked on, and this is what I'm going to work on today. I've got a couple other ones finished back here, or at least more finished. Let's see, some of this one's done. Let me just do a quick flip to the steampunk one. That's done. I think I got 2 steampunk ones done in here. So it's just a place to kind of play, and it's a place to use your color book pages. So if you've colored something in your color book, and again, you might want to make a copy. I know some people don't want to tear things out of their color book. Just make a black and white copy of it before you color it. And I would just recommend just thin, like copy paper, you know, printer paper, because then when you glue it in, it's not going to be bumpy, especially if you're going to paint over something to turn it into a story, like I did this one. And there's another steampunk one. Where's the other steampunk one? Where is the other steampunk one? Let me see here. Let me do a quick flip here. Here's the fish. This one. So I still have to do some paint blending on this one, but she's like set to... All right, sip of coffee. All right. So I will get out. I'm going to try to remember some of the colors that I used here. Raspberry, a hot pink, a flesh color, skin color, like a medium, a light one, and a medium one. Or even a light brown with a soft touch. You can get the shading. What else? A couple of blues. I want the gray blue. Oh, sorry guys, my head's bumping on the thing again. I want a couple of greens for the leaves. One to blend. A darker one. A teal color. Oh, and a couple of gray blue and got the teal blue. That's probably enough. Those colors are probably good. All right, so I'm going to sharpen them over here. I got a little tray here to sharpen into. Every time I lean over to sharpen over the trash, I always bump my head on the tripod thing. So. Okay. I like my pencil sharp for the most part, because you can get smaller, closer areas, and you can still blend and have soft touch. You just got to have a soft touch with the pencil. Okay, this raspberry must have been one that's been broken on the inside. Yeah, it's not centered. See how it's not centered? Always try to make sure when you buy your individuals, they're centered. See how that one's not? So it'll break easy. Okay. Of course, if you buy a set, you're at the mercy of whatever they throw in that set as far as... Okay, so those are the colors we're going to use. So I'll go ahead and start with... Oh, and white and black. I need black and white. Let's see here. There's a white. Oh gosh, I keep bumping my hair on the. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna, let's make sure it's dry. If it's not dry, you want to hit it with the heat gun because your color pencil will not blend over wet marker or wet acrylic paint or wet anything. It needs to be dry. Okay, so I'm just gonna highlight her little, again, remember, these, this is gonna be cut out, painted over, you know, I'm just not, it's not like a portrait, and I'm not treating it like one. I want it to look nice, but I'm not going to get all fussy about it. So it just depends on how much time you want to take, what you're going to use it for. But, you know, personally, I would not want to spend 12 hours on this just to stick it in my art journal. But, you know, it just depends on what you're going to do. I do take a little more time on my Paula Paris color book because that book is going to stay intact. I'm coloring it, you know, the Paris one. Let me grab it here. And I just call it my Paula Paris because she's the one that enabled me to buy the Secret Paris book. And so we did work on, where's the page we worked on? This one. Worked on this one last week. So I did finish up the little bird, her hair, and I like it simple like that. I like the shirt white and just the shadows and all that. But, so anyway, I might spend a little more time on something like this because I do want to complete this whole book and in the book and not cut anything out of it. Although I did cut out two, I did copy and cut out two to put in this book because they kind of reminded me of me. So I did cut this one out of the Paris book. I mean, not literally. I copied it and put it in out of the Paris book. I'm not cutting anything out of the Paris book. And then this one at the back page. So these two are from the Paris book. Okay, but other than those two, I probably won't copy and cut out any of it for art journaling because I want to just keep it all in the Paris book.